Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Well, we got two musics going on here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope y'all are doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Where you are? That was a throwback mute for you, Izzy. Throwback mute. What's going on, everybody? Hey, appreciate the love before I even got here. Knox with the 5 months. Hey, woo, let's go. Thank you. The Dab Gang in full force. 51, we hit it, folks. I love it. Right before this stream, we got the Dab Gang popping off. If you got some time before this stream, you should be over there hanging out, reviewing some code. Hey, Sheenan, thank you for the 6 months. Wow, half a year already. Thanks for everything, Leon. Hey, Sheenan, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Reggie, hey, Reggie, giving out the gifted sub. Hey, thank you so much. And Garrett Thor, thank you for the 5 months. How's everyone doing, everybody? How you doing? Thor, appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hey. Taco Tuesday. Oh, people are popping off. Hey, hold on one second. Let me make sure. I was trying to look through chat here. Hold on. Jersey Boss Babe. Hey, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Leon, is there any chance of Remo's classes being recorded? Yeah, most of them will be recorded. And whenever we have somebody from the community, we'll just probably make it unlisted on YouTube. Yeah, so they'll be recorded for the bigger ones going forward, for sure. Anonymous Cheer, hey, thank you for the 100 bits. And Miss Turner, hey, 6 months. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all being here. Crud was tough, wasn't it? Knox, get out of here. Where are people getting their tacos? Biden Bucks coming in hot. That's awesome. That's hilarious. That's the first time I heard that. What's going on, everybody? Fun class tonight. We're building tonight, folks. I'm super excited. By the end of tonight's class, you'll be able to build any API that you want to build. I'm super pumped to get into this. This is where it gets real. This is where we start to feel like we can build real things. And so for the first half of the program, we consumed APIs. Tonight, we build them. So I'm super excited for that. Hey, Comodello, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I got stuck on the MongoDB section. It wouldn't let me get into the database. Yeah, it's gonna be tricky. The hitting the back end doesn't come easy. Especially learning how to use your first database is very tricky. So tonight's like a gentle introduction to Express. It's getting us like listening for server requests and responding appropriately. And then on Thursday, we're going to introduce a backend. So we're going to build up. We're building out our own API tonight. And then on Thursday, we're going to add on to it. Then on next Tuesday is our Microsoft sponsored stream. We're adding on to it. So we're going to go slow. We're going to build up. So by the end of, like, say next week, you'll be able to build a full stack web application using Express that connects to a database. And we're gonna ramp on up. This is the class I've been waiting for. I wanted to see how it's done. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Brian, hitting the back end doesn't come easy. Hey. Why did my computer tell me it couldn't install MongoDB? Sometimes you don't have permissions to install the things that you need to install. Sometimes you might need to use sudo if you're running into permission issues. And sometimes if you're running on a laptop that you don't own, you might not be able to install certain programs. And that's one of the unfortunate side effects. Yeah. Knox. Oh, I gotta put my glasses back on. Knox, thank you for the $10. Crud was hell, now take my money. Well, hopefully we'll make Crud less of a hell for you and make it a little bit easier to understand. So tonight we're just focusing on the basics, making sure we understand everything. We're building it from scratch together, and then we're gonna get into it. Do we need MongoDB for tonight's exercises? No, you won't need MongoDB for tonight. We're just worried about hearing a request and sending back some JSON data. That's what we're trying to get to today. So no MongoDB today. Definitely take some time after class to get that installed though. So I'm going to just pull some stuff together here real quick. You can see what I'm doing in the, no, not the desktop. All right. So I want to get into it. Welcome everyone. Hope you're having a good day. Let's jump right into class. Let's get into it. That's the fun stuff to get to today. I want to get through some of the review from last week just to get that out the way. And our last 2 hours, we'll be building an Express app together. A little less slides and a little bit more building today. And we're going to ease into it. We're going to ease into it, folks. SJ Gorski, hey, thank you for the 2 months. Thank you for being here. Everyone so far with the support, I really appreciate it. Hype train out the gate. I really appreciate all the love and support. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into it. I'm gonna go to little Leon here. I'm a little over. Hold on. I'm a little over here. I don't like being so far to the. There we go. All right, much better. Hey. All right. I've been working hard, Leon, but I keep forgetting to turn in everything. No, you got to turn this stuff in. All right. Tonight, folks, we are going to talk a little bit about 100 devs, some just updates like we normally do. Then we're going to review the event loop, talk through it, make sure we feel comfortable with it. I know you got some time in last week to talk to your fellow 100 devs about how it works and all that goodness. Then we're going to learn the basics of CRUD. We're going to learn the basics of Express. And by the end of tonight, we're going to be able to build our own API. That's the goal. And then your homework is to build your own API. So you're going to come up with your own original idea. It's going to be live. It's going to be hosted. It's going to work. And people can consume it just like you consumed any of the other APIs that we've seen together. Just like NASA, just like the cocktail database, just like the dog CEO. You'll be able to make whatever you want. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to get to today, folks. Sorry, my dog ate my homework. I just imagine like eating the laptop. All right. Questions. We had some good questions coming in before class today. Let's keep that going. Anybody have some good questions? And then we'll chill the music a little bit here. And after the questions, we'll chill the music and get into it. But hey, excited you're all here. Really excited to get into this class. I really feel like this week is where you start to feel like you can build real stuff. And so I'm excited to get there with you. Is there a way to use Node.js online or something? Can't install it on my work laptop, at least for the coming while. Yes, you can. In fact, I just had a student that I walked them through how to do this. It's called Code Sandbox. The cool thing about Code Sandbox is it's completely free. You have to create an account, but once you create an account, you can see I have like this Node HTTP server here. Let me actually see if I can click on this. Oh, this might be mine. Not be mine. This might be like the default one. But yeah, you can use codesandbox.io. Notice on the left side here, I have like my normal files. You have a terminal here on the right-hand side, right? A terminal on the right-hand side. And all this stuff that you can normally do on your own machine, you can do in the cloud. Now, I don't recommend this if you do have a machine that can access all these programs. Getting used to your own environment and learning how to make all these things configurable is definitely the way to go. But if for some reason you don't have permissions or the laptop that you're on is not yours and you can't install certain programs, codesandbox.io can be a pretty good platform. From what I've seen, I was able to install all my normal packages and it was completely free, which just blows my mind. Yeah, it blows my mind, this one. So yeah, Alyssa, thank you for putting the link into chat. That's what I recommend. That was a great question. I'm glad you asked that because I definitely know there are some folks that might need that resource. Nissa, we're going to get into that today. We're gonna talk about how to do the coin toss server side today. When we finish up our API, we're just gonna tack on that at the end just for some funsies. Cool. I've heard the same thing, SynPro. I've heard the same thing. It makes sense. All right. Good questions, folks. Let's keep pushing. What's life? 42. Alrighty. Let's keep pushing here. This Friday, we have our normal class on Remo. We're going to be doing some more technical interview practice, really starting to get you ready to start the hunt and getting comfortable with interviewing. And so every Friday is going to be some sort of kind of career skills, getting you ready for interviewing. They're important, folks. Don't miss these classes. Getting that practice in takes away the sting when you really start doing it for real. And so you want this to be muscle memory. You want to get your spaced repetition in. You want to make sure that by the time you're ready to interviewing, you're a lean, mean interviewing machine. I'm going to chill my music here, actually, just so, for some folks, it's too distracting. Are folks getting recruiting emails linked to, sorry, you can put your link there. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of recruiter spam. Some of it's legit, not all of it is, so you got to definitely be careful. All right. Office hours this Sunday. So Sunday, 1 o'clock. And then after office hours on Sunday, oh boy, do we have a raid to end all raids. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to let the hype build. The raid to end all raids, the best raid we've ever done. I'm super excited for it. So you definitely want to join us on Sunday for office hours, and then we're gonna do a nice little raid. I'm super excited for it. So it's my favorite raid so far. All right, remember networking. You're bringing it back into the fold. I want one coffee chat this week. Give me a coffee chat. I just want one teensy-weensy coffee chat. I want one coffee chat. That's all I want. One coffee chat. Get me a coffee chat this week. Make sure you're hitting up the use. You can be using your apps. You can be using the actual networking apps. Maybe you've gotten vaccinated and you're getting pumped. You're getting ready to start going back into meet space and start clinking some bottles and doing some real meetups. But get me a coffee chat this week. Push yourself. Get me a coffee chat. Convoluted Edge. Hey, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. And oops, my bad, brah. 6 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate the both of y'all. Thank you for being here. Hey, let's go. All right. Remember, you should be using the sheet. If you're doing your networking, use the sheet. If you're starting to look for companies you're going to be applying to, you're starting to build out that hit list, use the sheet. Linked here in the slides. If you ever need the slides, ! Slides. Does meeting with a senior dev with other newer devs count as a coffee chat? Coffee chat should be like more of like an intimate, not like an intimate like one-to-one connection. As long as you felt like you made a connection with that person, then it counts. But the idea here is that you're starting to build up your Rolodex. So when it comes time to get recommended to these positions, that person is going to be the person that recommends you. So the coffee chat is the first stage. Then you want to do the follow-up, and you want to slowly drip that outreach so that you're cultivating that lead. So by the time you need to get recommended, they're more likely to recommend you. So there we have a whole class on this. So we have a whole class on how to do the coffee chats, how to do the networking. And so definitely go back and review the class on YouTube if you have any questions about how to do networking, how to do that outreach, etc. Yeah. All right. If you haven't completed the checklist yet, you owe me my checklist, and I want it. I want my checklist. And so please, if you're here, you're learning this stuff, do the checklist. It's important. If you haven't finished it, you owe me it. Remember, we're pushing every day, folks. You should be doing some sort of code challenge, some bit of code, and pushing it to GitHub. Chat, why do we push every day? Chat, tell me why we push every day. I got some delicious coffee here. I'll sip my coffee while I wait. Recruiters love those green squares. And so get your green squares in. You missed a couple days. Dirty little secret is if you change your clock time and make a commit and push, you'll get the green square. I didn't tell you that though. I don't know where I got that. I never heard that before. What are we talking about? Never heard that before. Remember, I wanted my work submitted. I want my work. I want it submitted. If you haven't submitted it yet, please go ahead and submit it. There's the same link that I asked for to submit it last week. I really want to see your 100 hours projects. I really want to see your progress on the Code Wars. And I really want to take a gander at the checklist. We're going to start doing review sessions for reviewing all the stuff that you submitted. And so if you haven't submitted it yet, then you're not eligible for those review sessions where I'm looking at your resumes, I'm looking at your project ideas. And so make sure you submitted everything if you want to be part of those reviews. MB, what did you try to submit that you had trouble with? Could we theoretically create a server with a configurable time instead of our machine that pushes at whatever time we set? Yes. You can also run like a cron job from any server that'll do it for you as well. There are even people that like spell out stuff in their squares, which is really funny. But yeah, you can do it. Cool. For homework, you had some videos to watch. I asked you to watch Jake Archibald's famous event loop video. I asked you to watch Philip Roberts' video on how the call stack web APIs and how the event loop works in the browser. Two like foundational videos that really just, they have more time to explain the things in detail than we have in time in class. And so please make sure if you have not watched them, please, I'm begging you, watch these two videos. It will make more sense once you watch those videos. Yeah. Cool. Now, Zell has an amazing blog. There's very few people that I like really truly appreciate their craft. Zell is one of them. Zell has continuously put out some of the best blog posts on technical topics I have ever seen. You will run into their work. For the rest of this course, you're going to run into their work over and over and over again. It is phenomenal the way they're able to break stuff down and explain it in a way that makes sense. And so you're going to see me recommending them a lot. Like you just can't beat it. There's nothing that I or anyone else can do to put on top of what they've done. And so you're going to see me recommend a lot of their articles for reading because they just are that damn good. Please read them. They're really important. It's going to really help you set up for class. I can't stress that we don't have enough time for us to cover everything. And the expectation is that you're coming to class having done the reading. If you're coming to class having done the reading, you're going to feel lost. And it's going to get worse and worse the more we tack on stuff in the back end. Eventually, our projects are going to be so large that we're going to have client-side code, server-side code. We're going to be talking to databases. We're going to be managing our DevOps. All this stuff we're going to be managing and thinking through. We won't have enough time to dive deeper into certain topics, and that's why the reading is so important. So I'm putting out the PSA here. Please, the reading now is very important. The videos now are very important. You have to get through them, and you have to get through them before class, or else class won't make as much sense. I am now lecturing with the expectation that you have done the reading. Okay? Alrighty. Don't forget your spaced repetition. We're learning a lot of new stuff. All this backend stuff is new. All of the stuff you have to memorize for the bank might be new. Make sure you're getting your Anki in. We're getting closer to the goal, folks. We're getting to the point where you're going to start your application process. You're going to have all these things in your head, right? You have to have all these things in our head, right? And so that's a Herculean task. The only way it makes it easier is by doing your Enki. Scott said, should we be checking Discord an hour early? No. Typically, I assign the reading a week ahead of time. So the reading is either like a week ahead of time, or every once in a while I'll give you stuff that's due like Thursday. So like there will be some stuff that's due Thursday, but it won't be like a lot of reading. Most like 99% of the time I will give you a week to do all the reading. Yeah. What sort of things would you put in JS Anki cards? I never know what's worth putting in them. Do them, whether you think they are advantageous or not. And if you start to realize that you don't need them, you can remove them from your deck, or you can just be slam dunking them, and eventually the algorithm will put them farther and farther out. So Anki's set up so that even if you put in like not so great cards, you're slam dunking them, you just won't see them for years. Like literally I have cards that say like, I won't see you for like 7 years. So in the beginning, don't worry about it being perfect. Just go ahead and get into it. We do also have on Discord folks that work through Anki decks together. So joining one of those sessions and working through one of those Anki decks with other folks on the Discord community could be a great way to see what other folks are putting into their cards. They do Anki every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on Discord. Is it PST or EST? I always forget. EST. Yeah, 3 p.m. EST. Yeah, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then next week it might be changing. Oh, yeah, you're already saying it in chat. There you go. Cool. Yep, 3 p.m. Eastern time if you want to check out some Anki goodness. All right. Next Tuesday, let's get the hype, folks. Next Tuesday, we have a sponsored stream. Microsoft is coming back, and they are splashing out, folks. Splashing out is what we'll say. Thousands of dollars in server credits, swag packages. It's just going to be a wild time. So I'm super excited. I had a lot of fun with the last sponsored stream. I'm super excited to come back with another one. So get your bodies ready. Tuesday is going to be a lot of fun. And now let's get into the back end. So I want to jump into the back end, but before we get to the back end, I want to review some of the core topics from last week, and then we're gonna jump right into Express, and we're gonna build a simple Express app from scratch. I'm gonna do it all live. We're going to talk through every decision. We're going to have errors, and we're going to troubleshoot the errors together. The idea is to see like how an actual backend application comes together, and then have a really good starting code base for you to use to build your own API. Yeah, we're doing it live. We're going to be doing more of these kind of like code alongs, because I'm expecting you to have done all the theory reading, and now it's just building based on that theory. We'll cover the big stuff, but all the nitty gritty, I'm expecting you to have digested a little on your own. All right. JavaScript is single threaded. Chat, what does it mean that JavaScript is single threaded? When I say JavaScript single threaded, what do you think of? What is it? Yeah, I like that. One thing at a time. Yeah, it does one thing at a time. We were thinking about kind of our paper delivery person. We have one paper delivery person that is single threaded. We could have multi-threaded delivery business where we had multiple delivery persons, but JavaScript can't do that. It's single threaded, only ever has one delivery person, and it can only do one thing at a time. This means that things should block. We do a lot of stuff with JavaScript that just doesn't make sense, that we shouldn't be able to do. We shouldn't be able to make API requests. We shouldn't be able to like click and scroll. We shouldn't do all of these things. And we realized that it wasn't that JavaScript wasn't the reason we were able to do these things. We were able to do these things because of the environment in which our JavaScript was running, right? So where our JavaScript is running is super important. So when I say environment, I don't mean this, I mean this. It's still the best gift ever. I laugh every time I see this. I'm putting together the slides, I laugh. Talk about this. I'm talking about the browser. Our JavaScript is running in a browser, And since the JavaScript is running in the browser, it gets access to a bunch of web APIs. Things that we thought were just built into JavaScript are not. The document.query selector that we see, not built into JavaScript. Set timeout, set interval, not built into JavaScript. These are all things that we get because our JavaScript is running in the browser. Now, we saw some interesting code. And this is the interesting code. This is the thing that, like, this is where we got, right? So we have 3 functions. Our one function here has a set timeout, but it has no delay. It's a set timeout, but there's no delay by today. And then we have our code, house 1, house 2, house 3. However, when we ran this code, we saw paper delivered to house 1, paper delivered to house 3, and then paper delivered to house 2. So even though there was no delay, it still skipped from 1, 3 to 2. You got, right? We thought we came to get, and we got, okay? And we got because of the event loop. Chat, tell me what's happening in this event loop, and why are we getting got? Somebody give me some ideas of how we're getting got. Why do we have to tag all of our jabroni friends and tell them we just got? Ooh, yeah, it's putting it on the stack. It's putting on the stack. It's going off to the web APIs. Exactly. I like that, Cat. Yeah. Yeah, because there's some it's not being executed directly, even though there's no delay by today, even though it's 0 seconds, right? It's still not being executed on the stack. It's being passed off, right? It's being passed off to the web API. It runs immediately and gets added to the job queue or task queue, depending on what it is. Okay, so even though there's no delay, it still has to go through that process, and the event loop has to run and see that there's something new in that task or job queue before it can add it to the stack. We're going to see that again. Before we can get to that point, though, we learned about 2 key data structures last week, and those data structures were queue and stacks. Chat, what's a queue? What type of structure is a queue? Has like a nice mnemonic here. Yeah. It's a FIFO. It's a first in, first out data structure, meaning the first person in the line is the first person out of the line. That's how lines work, right? You're the first person in the line, and you're the first person out of the line. I don't know if you all saw this. I think a couple YouTubers did videos on it. There is a club in Germany that's really hard to get into, apparently. And so people have made a game that like does some machine learning to like look at your face and makes a determination as to whether or not you can get into the club. So it's a game that you practice trying to get into this really hard to get into club. Exactly, Scott. Yeah, Cheeky Devils, that's it. And so it's literally a game you play to practice getting into this club, and it's like reading your facial features. And so I was thinking of that when I was thinking of queues. I'll find it. I'll put it when we take a break. I'll post it in chat. But I thought that was funny. So if you're not if you're not at this club, but any other queue, you're the first person in. Right, you're the first person in. You're the first person out. I also like to think of it like a stack of frisbees. I grab all these frisbees. They keep coming. I keep adding more and more on top, but it's the bottom ones that I'm throwing out. So the first ones in are the first ones out. I think the funny thing is that it's all random. So like it decides when you get in line whether or not you're getting in, and your answers don't matter. Which I thought was pretty funny. So like, yeah, it's doing all these things, like you're answering questions, but it's still random whether or not you get in. All right. We saw a really simple queue in JavaScript where we just push 2 numbers into an array, and then we can shift the numbers off, because we know we're pushing numbers into an array, and shift pulls them off the front. So the first number we push in is the first number we'll shift off. So very simple queue. The other data structure we saw was a stack. Stack, very simple. What's the mnemonic for a stack, folks? What are we using for that? What are the letters that we're using here? Exactly. LIFO. Last in, first out. Think you're making some delicious pancakes at home. First pancake comes off the griddle, you put it on the plate. Next one goes on top, next one goes on top, next one goes on top, top. And eventually you have this really nice stack of pancakes. And the pancake that's on top, right, the last one that was in is the first one that is out. And we see this stack data structure in how this event loop thing is working. JavaScript is single threaded. It's going to read stuff synchronously. And as it's trying to do things synchronously, it's putting stuff onto a stack. And so the last thing in is the first thing out of that stack. And so we're going to see that actual data structure in action. This look needs to come back. All right. Now, we saw a very simple stack with JavaScript. We push stuff in. So we push in a 2, we push in a 5, and then remember, pop always pulls stuff off the end. So whatever was the last thing in is the first thing out. LIFO, last in, first out, because pop always pulls off the back. All right, back to getting got. Y'all just got. It's all right. All right. Now, JavaScript is running in a browser. I love all the Chappelle show lines. This bores me. How about a game of basketball? You and your crew against me in the revolution. Game blouses. Oh, that's hilarious. JS is running in the browser, right? We all came to this conclusion. Our JavaScript's running in the browser. Since it's running in the browser, we have access to the V8 engine. Chat, what's the V8 engine? And don't say charger goes brr. What's the V8 engine? Matt, hey, Mark, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Thank you for the hydration. So the V8 engine is a series of tools that we have in Chrome browsers, and then also when we get to Node as well. And what it does is it helps break down our JavaScript into something that a computer can actually understand. Our JavaScript really doesn't understand, our computer really doesn't understand JavaScript. It's not something that the computer can use to do stuff. And so you might have heard something called a compiler, where it takes your code and breaks it out into something that the computer can understand. Though the V8 engine includes this compiler-esque thing, plus a bunch of other important things like memory management, garbage collection, all this stuff. It comes part of this engine. And so that's why it's an engine and not strictly a compiler, like spitting out code that the computer can understand. And we are using the window runtime or hosting environment, just a fancy way of saying our code is running in the browser. And that gives us access to not only the V8 engine, but it gives us access to all these web APIs, things like the DOM, and it passes off a lot of stuff to this lib event, which is what's handling our event loop, right? And so we get all of these goodies just because we're running JavaScript in the browser. Now, last time we saw this last week, the event loop monitors the callback queue and job queue and decides what needs to be pushed to the call stack. Chat, what the heck does that mean? Can you break that down for me? The event loop monitors the callback queue and the job queue and decide which needs to be pushed back onto the call stack. What does that mean? Anybody have any ideas? Event loop goes brr. You got. It just spins around and grabs as needed. I love that. Yeah. Folks are super confused about the task queue and the job queue. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Let's get to that loop. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So we just have this event loop that's running the check to see if stuff is in the job queue or the task queue and if it's ready to be put on to the stack. So this seems like a lot of fancy words, but let's try and visualize it. And once again, Philip does a way better job than me of this, so I highly recommend their video, but we're going to do a simple version of it together. So here is our lovely synchronous JavaScript. Our JavaScript is running, and so that's why we have this lovely main function. The main function is the function that kind of like kicks off your JavaScript and says, hey, let's run all this stuff. And then we're going to get to this first line, and this first line is the console log. And so we're going to see a console log go on to the call stack. The call stack is like the things that we are trying to execute, right? The things that we're trying to run that are here in our code. Now, since there is something on the call stack, the thing that is the last in is the first out. And so the console log actually runs, and you see the console log of paper delivered to house 1 in the console. Cool. Now we go and we run the next line of code. And so that set timeout goes onto the call stack. And what happens is set timeout. Is that something that JavaScript can execute itself, chat? Is that something that JavaScript can actually run itself? Nah, son. Nope. No. So it's going to hand off this set timeout to the web API. Now remember, since we're running our code in the browser, we have access to these web APIs. If we were running our JavaScript somewhere else, we wouldn't have access to these things. So we handed it off to the web APIs, and we get ready to run our next line of code. Next line of code runs. We can see that the log of house 3 is on our call stack, so we know that's going to be run first. But we also notice that web API finished really fast, right? That web API finished super fast, right? And so instead of going directly onto the call stack, what happens is the result of that web API, whatever that web API sends back, goes into the task queue. So whatever we got back is now in the task queue. The event loop is going to keep running and letting anything on the call stack finish. So we're going to see console log house 3 get put into the console. And now that the call stack is empty, once it is empty, the event loop runs again and it says, oh wait, call stack is empty and we have something in the task queue. Let's go ahead and put it into the call stack. Event loop runs, it takes whatever was inside this call stack, it runs it, and then we see house 2 finally make it into the console log as well. So that's why we were seeing house 1, house 3, and then house 2, because even though there was no delay by today, it still had to go to the web API, get put into the task queue, and then eventually make its way to the call stack once the call stack was empty, and then it got executed. Okay. All right. And so that's the tricky thing. That's why we got, even though there was no delay, it still had to go through this web API to task queue process. Some folks were asking about what is the difference between the task queue and the job queue. So we have two different types of things that might be coming back from these web APIs. One could just be standard callbacks, and others could be things like promises. Most of the time, if you're getting a promise back from the web API, it's going into the job queue. Anything else you're getting back is going into a task queue. They serve the same function. They just handle things slightly different. But we get into this other nerdy thing like micro task versus macro task, and there is like an order in which this stuff is peeled off the job and task queue, but I think that's too confusing. I just think, you get something back from web API, it goes into the queue. Eventually, once there's nothing left in the call stack, the event loop sees stuff in the queue and starts putting it on the call stack. That's all. So it's just the idea that whatever's coming back from the web API goes into those queues. Once the call stack is empty, we start taking stuff off of those queues, putting it onto the stack so that it can be executed, and we go until there's nothing left on the stack and nothing left in the queues, and then we're done running our JavaScript. The job queue is for promises. Yeah. And so that's it. You could go super in depth. There are like posts that go like really into the nitty gritty of all this stuff and like really break it down. I think Philip did a really good job of discussing those. I would definitely watch those videos if you're interested in more. Yeah. All right. Time for the back end, baby. Alrighty. So, as we get into the back end, we have to ask ourselves an important question. Oh yeah, the sticker raffle. All right, before we get into the back end, let's do the sticker raffle. Forgot about that. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and alrighty. You're saying sticker raffle? What are you talking about, Leon? Well, if you do exclamation point newsletter, sometimes there's special stuff inside of that newsletter that get you into some special drawings for special Learn with Leon 100 Dev stuff. So, indifferent, welcome. All right. So, what? Indifferent. Hey, thank you for stopping by and thank you for the gifted subs. That's wild. Happy Tuesday, exactly. Hey, said you're working on a large project. Well, hey, I appreciate you stopping by and thanks for the love. That's wild. We just had a bunch of new folks that got access to those emotes. Can we get like a nice little micro Leon emote spam, please? For indifferent, I really appreciate that. That's wild. Thank you so much for the love. I'm gonna put my emotes in here. Boom. Thank you so much. Alrighty, let's get this. That's wild. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for just popping in and blessing us. I appreciate it. All right, let's open up the inspector. We had 101 folks that got in here, so let's go ahead and say math.ceil. We're gonna do our math.random, and we're gonna times that by 101, and I think that's all we got to do, right? Yeah, that'll do it. Cool. So you're like, what the heck's going on? If you do exclamation point newsletter, that gets you access to the newsletter. I put some goodies in there, so if folks open it every once in a while. There's a special raffle just for folks to open the newsletter. So that was in there today. Big hint: you definitely want to open the one next Tuesday. That's going to be a definite open. You don't want to miss the goodies that are going to be in that newsletter on Tuesday. Microsoft stepping up to the plate. Yeah, don't slouch on don't slouch on that newsletter. And I always put it at the bottom too. You got to work for it. You got to work for it. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to run this math.random here. Let's go ahead. 3, 2, 1. All right, 86. Let me look at the response. Individual 86 was Brian Tooth. Hey, Brian Tooth, go ahead and Brian Tooth, go ahead and send me a message on Discord, and we'll get that coming your way. I am going to the post office on Wednesday like I am freaking Santa Claus. So I have so many things to put into the mail. I know a lot of folks have been already getting some things in, but we got a lot of stuff. I already got some of it packaged up and ready to go. I just got to drop it off. It's all going in on Wednesday. So you should all be seeing a lot of cool stuff popping in the mail if you've won things recently. Cool. Brian Tooth, congrats. Let's keep it rolling, folks. The people in the queue at the post office are gonna hate you. Yeah, it's gonna take me a while, especially with all the international stuff. I'm gonna be there for a hot minute. All right, chat. Does JavaScript have access to the DOM natively built in? Fox, thank you for the hydration. I appreciate that. Dro, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you as well. I'll take 2 sips. Nope, exactly. The DOM is a web API. Nope. Doesn't have it natively. JavaScript needed web APIs to handle async and a bunch of stuff in the browser. Without those web APIs, it wouldn't be able to do any of the asynchronous stuff that we're able to do. And it's really important that it really just melds into our mind that JS is a language that can only do what the hosting environment allows. So we saw in JavaScript, we wanted access to the DOM. So the hosting environment, which was the browser, gave us access to the DOM. So there's a couple key things. There's 2 really big things that a server needs, right? And if we're going to build out back-end web applications and eventually full stack applications, we need to be really sure about like what servers need, right? So what 2 things do servers like absolutely need that we need to worry about? Pi, try giving it a refresh. If you have to, turn down those quality settings. What 2 things do servers absolutely need? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, servers absolutely need disk access, like being able to like grab files from a hard drive or SSD, and they need network access. They need to be able to hear requests that are coming in and generate responses that are going out. Love and companionship. So what if there was a hosting environment that allowed JavaScript to have disk and network access, right? Now, does JavaScript, the language itself, have access to the network or disk? Like, does the actual language JavaScript have anything that enables it to grab files, anything that enables it to listen for network requests? No. Wait a minute. How did we make requests with JavaScript before then? How was I able to like get my dog photos and talk to NASA? How was JavaScript able to make requests? Oh, the web API Fetch. So Fetch was a web API that enabled me to make requests because JavaScript was running in the browser. Interesting. So Fetch wasn't really part of JavaScript then. Okay, cool. So what if there was a hosting environment like the browser, but that gave us access to the disk and network? Because you wouldn't want browsers to give access to your disk, right? Or your network, because you would go to any website and then they could start grabbing stuff off of your computer. That wouldn't make sense. So the browser environment that we typically run JavaScript in, not a good idea. But what if there was an environment that enabled us to have disk and network access so that we could, say, build a server? Well, you know what that means. There is. It's Node.js, baby. That's what we're doing. It's Node. It's Node. Node is that environment that gives us access to the disk and to the network. Node party. Need me some Node in my life. My whole family's doing the dance. That's hilarious. I just want to be able to like go back into the world and do this. There's nothing more that I want in life right now than to do what this woman is doing. To just leave it all on the dance floor. Nothing coming home in a pile of sweat. You danced until you couldn't dance no more. The vibes were there. I can't wait. That's what I want. That's what I want right now. Most in life is that. Oh yeah, just it hits right as the beat drops. What a life. Around people. Same, but it's weird being around people now. I feel you. Oh, Will, then you didn't know me, Will. You didn't know me. Had my days. Me and my wife, we cemented our relationship at a Yin Yang Twins concert. It's where I knew it was real. It's where I knew it was meant to last. 'Cause I was in the back by myself. College, the drink of choice was Snapple Apple with apple vodka, and I was just in the back by myself dancing. There's nobody near me, just way all the way in the back, just in my own little world, dancing to Yin Yang Twins, and then to my right was my lovely wife. So that's how I knew it was real. So I miss these days right here. All right. So we're trying to get into this back end thing. We know that Node is the environment where we're going to run our JavaScripts. Hello, Simba. We got a Simba delivery. He has a Kong and he's now in the room. Anyway. Alrighty. Node.js is that runtime environment built on Chrome's V8 engine. And you look at this the first time, you're like, Leon, you just told me that Node was this place I could run JavaScript and get access to the disk and to the network, right? But what the heck does this JavaScript runtime built on Chrome's V8 engine? When I say JavaScript runtime, what do I mean, chat? When I say JavaScript runtime, what do I mean? Yeah, it's just the environment where we're running our code. Exactly. Can we get Mike or Leon's to purchase more stories of you in your way? That's funny. I mean, just ask. I always ask for questions at the beginning of stream. Folks, I always expected people to get weird with those questions. Normally they're just like, hey, how do I do this JavaScript thing? I didn't say it had to be JavaScript. I was expecting some weird stuff, but nobody ever asked weird questions. I like weird questions. Was the Whisper song your wedding song? No, but it should have been. Shouldn't have said that. Famous last words. Clip it. And then everybody just plays the clip when I said ask for weird questions. Cool. So we know that JavaScript runtime is just the environment where we're running our code. We ran JavaScript in the browser. Now we're running it in Node. And we talked about V8 Engine earlier today. The engine is a bunch of stuff, mainly the thing that takes our JavaScript and compiles out into something that the computer can actually understand. But it's a little bit more than just the compiler. It's also like how we do memory and garbage cleaning and all these other kind of things that we need for like a good environment to run our JavaScript in. And then the really cool thing is that the Node environment, just like the browser gave us access to web APIs, running it in Node comes with these built-in modules. Just like we had web APIs in the browser, we have C and C++ APIs in Node. And so it comes with some built-in modules like HTTP or network access. It comes with FS or file system access. So these things that we desperately want on the browser are given to us because we're running JavaScript in the runtime environment that is Node. Cool. Now, The other really cool thing is we get access to millions of other packages, other modules, which are just like groups of functions that we can use via NPM. I think there's like 1.8 million different packages that we have access to. So that really makes the programs that we build with Node do a lot of cool stuff. And today we're going to run into some things. We're going to run into some issues, right? We're going to run into some things that just make building our API like weird and not work. And we're going to just have these packages that just make our lives so much easier because we can just install them and fix the things we need to fix and move on. All right. Now, when we're talking about Node, JavaScript, remember, is still single-threaded. It doesn't have access to the things that we need to have access to. So where we had web APIs in the browser, we now have C and C++ APIs in Node. So you're going to see the things that JavaScript does asynchronously, like listening, like making those network requests, the event loop, being able to have access to the file system. None of that's coming with JavaScript. All of those are APIs that are exposed to us because we're running JavaScript in Node, right? And a lot of the stuff that we might even use in the browser, like these are like the serious versions of those things. We have libov versus like libevent. So all of these are just things that we get because we're running JavaScript with Node in Node. All right. We saw a really simple, right? So a really simple server that had just HTTP and FS, which are the two core modules that come with Node. And we were able to build a server that could listen for a request and send an HTML file as a response, right? And we saw that. We were able to build that. And then we said, all right, what if we could build a more complex backend? And so we built a more complex backend, not this one. We had a backend that had a bunch of conditional statements and things like that. And we tried to really clean it up. We tried to make it better. When you were working in groups, that's one of the things I asked you to do, is try to clean it up. But tonight we're going to answer that question. And we're going to say, how can we clean up our really messy kind of Node that was these like nested conditionals and listening for different things, and how can we clean it all up? We're going to use Express to do that. Now we could have used like switches or better conditional logic, but we're just going to say screw all that, throw it all out. The code was a mess. Let's use Express. Ooh, that should be their slogan. The code was a mess. Just use Express. I'm going to patent that. Mine. Copyright. Can't use it. Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and take a break. We're at the top of the hour. We are here to be engineers for the rest of our lives. We take breaks. And so we're going to take a break. And when we come back from break, we're going to talk about Express. We're going to start building. I'm so excited to build. We're going to build. So I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. Five minutes on the clock. Don't delay. By today. 5 minutes have started. I'm going to put some break music on. And since I really do want to encourage you to take a break, we're going to play some ads just so that new folks that join us don't have to sit through ads and they can jump right into class with us. So I'm going to go ahead and run some quick ads. Thank you to all the folks that sub today. Thank you, Indifferent, for the massive gifted subs. That's a lot of folks that don't have to sit through ads right now. I appreciate that. Cool. All right, folks, please take a break. If you're able to, get up, hydrate, do what you got to do. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. Just going to get some stuff set up here, folks. Alrighty, please hydrate. Do what you got to do. We'll be back here when you're done. If you can't get up, you can't stretch those hands, let your eyes focus on something that's not your screen for a few seconds. That can be really helpful too. Reduce the stress of your eyeballs. second here. Alrighty. Please, please, please do what you gotta do. Just sitting set up here. Take your break, folks. There we go. Sorry, it took me a while to get that all set up. I just want to make sure we had it before we get into class time, and I have to figure it all out live. Cool. Gonna bring the timer back up. We got 2 minutes, folks. 2 minutes to finish up what you got to do, and we're back live. 2 minutes. Sorry, normally I'm a little bit more able to look at chat. Just want to make sure I have all this set up for us before we get into it. All right, there we go. What language we're using to build our APIs? We are going to build them using Express and Node. So you're going to be using the same JavaScript that we've been using, but in the Node runtime. Sipping on some nice black tea. Hey, what, honey? I'll take that. Sounds dope. Playing Yin Yang Twins. Noodle break. Hey. Still not getting out jokes on UI like ads. Breaks are key. Breaks are key. Your site is down. No. You got a message about your CRUD app not working? Make sure you put it on Discord. Yeah, make sure that's in the Node help channel. We can help you get it set up. Leon, if you had to remake your setup as cheap and as ergonomically as possible in terms of desk space, what would you do? Not specific, just curious if you had any ideas. Like, I mean, how cheap are we talking about? Like, if I'm talking about I have to spend as least money as possible, I am getting my laptop up on a stack of books. My laptop's going on a stack of books, and I'm gonna be standing. Because if I don't have a chair, because chairs are expensive, the good chairs are expensive, I'm going to try and get to the point where I'm standing somewhere, either at like a counter or a table, or if I have to, stack of books for my laptop so that it's eye level when I'm standing, and then stack of books so I can put a keyboard at the appropriate height for my hands. And so I would have the laptop and keyboard on top of my stack of books, standing. That's going to be a good ergonomic setup for me. Keyboard, maybe the MS Sculpt Ergo, the Microsoft Sculpt Ergo, just because you can get it really cheap. Like, I've seen them in thrift stores before. I need a split keyboard for my hands to be comfortable, and so I think I would go that route, and any rollerball mouse I can get my hands on, whatever the cheapest rollerball mouse is. And I would switch between the trackpad on the laptop and that rollerball mouse. And so I think just keyboard and mouse and books would be like a really cheap way to like get a decent ergonomics setup. And then anything on top of that, I would add maybe a chair be like the next thing I would go for. All right, folks, come on back. The idea though is to switch up whatever you're doing. So if you have a really nice chair, you should be like sitting in it, but also like getting up and standing portions of the day, if you're able, right? And so one of my students was an ergonomic consultant and kind of like showed me like what it was like to have a really good setup. And the biggest thing was just changing up what you do. So don't be stuck doing just one thing all the time. Change up how you're sitting, how you're standing. I like to switch between like a mouse and a trackpad, like just so that you're not doing the same repetitive stress over and over again. Yeah. Cool. All right, folks, come on back. Hope you had a good break. All right, so we are going to talk about Express. But before we can get into Express, we need to blast all the way back to the past. We need to go all the way back to pretty much the first thing we ever talked about. And the first thing we talked about was, how does the internet work? And so I want to spend some time, now that we know more, and kind of revisit that topic, right? And so chat, what is the internet? What is the internet? We know more now. Yeah, it's a wire. And that wire was connecting what two kinds of devices? That wire was connecting two kinds of devices. Yeah. We had client-side devices. And we had server-side devices. And the idea here is that our servers are listening to requests and responding, right? And the clients are running a program. What's the program that our clients have been running that enables them to run all the stuff that we've been building these past couple months together? Yeah. The client-side device had a browser, right? Had a browser. What? Why is it not a... Hold on one second. Whoop, there we go. Client-side device had a browser on it. And that browser, right, was where all of our client-side code was running. Is where our JavaScript was running. Is where our HTML and CSS were used to render what we saw in the browser. And what the user was typically doing was the user was typically typing in a URL. And then that URL was making requests to a server. Okay. Now, our servers have to be set up to hear those requests and generate a response and send that response back to the browser. So when we go to any normal website, right? When we go to any normal website, let somebody give me a fun website. Somebody give me a fun website. What's a fun website? I can't use Domino's.com as much as I want to. What's a fun website? Neopets.com. Nostalgia overflows. All right. Ooh, it's an NC Mall green shop. Oh, I haven't seen that before. We got to get in there and celebrate the season before it ends. They knew what they were doing with these characters. That's how little Leon got. Anyway, let's look at this website here. All right. We have this other really cool tab called Network. And let's just go ahead and refresh this real quick. Look at all this stuff that's happening here. Chat, what are these things? They're big. I know they're big and like we're not seeing everything here. But look at all the stuff that was there. I clicked refresh and look at all these things. What are all these things here? All I did was I clicked refresh. And what did I make? Yeah, I made a request. I typed in neopets.com. And when I typed in neopets.com, that made a request to a server. All right. So if we go back and we look at our client side, we typed in a URL here. Typed in a URL. That URL made a request to the server. Now, that server heard the request and responded with what? What did it respond with? Very specific this time. Yeah, it responded with some data, some files, but it definitely responded with an HTML file first. So it responded with an HTML file. Then once that HTML file went to render, what did that HTML file need? What did that HTML file need? What did it link to? It needed CSS. So what happened? We made another request for the CSS. And then we made another request for the JavaScript. We made requests for all the images. We made requests for all these different kinds of files, right? And very quickly, the server, this is an ear, by the way, that's an ear. The server heard those requests and responded with all of that information. Right? Respond with all that information. And we see it. Like, we can go into the browser here. I'm still playing Neopets after this class. Should I just stay live and instead of doing a raid, we just play Neopets together? So I made a request. I got some Neopets back. If we make this smaller, let's make this a little bit smaller so that we can actually see it. Neopets winds up being more more popular than actual stream, like actual class. Cool. You can see that we requested like a document, and then once that document loaded, look at all the JavaScript files we're trying to load. Look at all the style sheets we're trying to load, all the font files, all the images. These are all requests that we made, right? These are all requests that we made. And the really important thing is, why is it making that bigger? The important thing is that our server was set up to hear all those requests and know what to respond with. So there had to be some code. There has to be some code running on this server that hears a request and responds with a certain file. Okay? Now, chat, if I ask for an HTML file, what does the server actually have to do? Like if I typed in neopets.com, right? I typed in neopets.com. The server hears that I want neopets.com. What does it have to do? Like, what does my server have to do? Hadoken. Yeah, cat got it too. The server has to like here. All right, Leon is asking for the main page, and they want specifically the HTML file for that page. Great. So I've heard that request. Now I need to access using maybe like file system. I need to access all the files that are on this machine, and I need to find this specific HTML file. And once I hear that specific HTML, like once I find that specific HTML file, I have to respond with it. Right? So I have to be able to hear a specific request, then I have to do some stuff, and then I have to respond. When we were 10, did we know that that's what was happening? Like, I didn't know that was happening. I just typed in neopets.com. Do 99.9999% of people know that this is happening underneath the hood? No. So the URL becomes a simple interface. I type in neopets.com. It's a simple interface. And I get some really complex stuff that happens that I don't care how it's happened. I don't care how it got here. It just works. What is that? Whenever we have a simple interface for something complex, something that enables two sets of codes to talk to each other, what is that? Yeah, chat. It's an API, right? It's an API. It is an API. So we want to be able to build, right? We want to be able to build some code that runs on our server, and that code needs to be able to hear some request and know what to gather as part of the response, right? And so we're going to start building out an API that can hear a request, do all the stuff we need it to do, and then respond. Hey, D. Thompson Dev, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Hey, I appreciate that. I'm assuming if you are the one and only Twitter and YouTube star, I'm hoping this is you. If it is, huge fan. Thank you so much for stopping by. That's awesome. Thank you so much for the love. Hope you're doing well. Danny, I love your content. Thanks for stopping by. I hope that's you. If it is, let us know if it is, so we can fanboy and girl out here. It is? All right. Hey, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the wonderful stuff you share online. It's helping a lot of folks in a really meaningful way, and so I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate the love. Thank you for the gifted subs. Hope you're doing well. Alyssa, thank you for the link. Definitely go give them a follow. They're sharing advice that's going to help you get a job. You definitely want to be following them. Super solid person. Thank you so much for the love and stopping by. It's Sabotage. Hey, thank you for the gifted sub as well. Alrighty, folks. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Hope your day is going well. Thank you for stopping by. Alrighty. Cool. So we're at this point where we're saying, all right, we have... I appreciate the kind words from all of you. You're all beyond incredible. Nah, you're incredible. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're incredible. Thank you for doing all the things that you do and for sharing all the stuff that you share. We appreciate you. All the things that you do, and we appreciate you stopping by. Alrighty. Cool. So we know that we're making some requests from our client-side devices, and we're starting to get to the point where we know that we need Danny, thank you so much for the 5 additional gifted subs. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I really do. Thank you for those kind words as well. Yeah, for sure. If you haven't already, folks, what are you doing? You're missing out. Alyssa posted the link. Go give them a follow on Twitter. Some of the most impactful content you're going to find on Twitter is really going to help y'all. You should definitely be following them. Cool. Hey, appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm like pumped. I'm glad you stopped by. And thank you for the gifted subs. I really do appreciate that. Alrighty, folks. We're at this point where we know that the browser can make a request, and we need to start writing the code that can hear those requests, and when it hears specific requests, respond with specific responses. We already saw with just the HTTP module and the FS module, we can do this. We can build out this API that hears those requests and generates responses, but it was a hot mess. right? It was nested conditionals. We couldn't really make heads or tails of what was happening. It was all over the place. And so we want to start to simplify how this all works and simplify how we can like make it so that it's readable and maintainable. And this is where we start to think about Express coming into play. Express is going to enable us, right? Express is going to enable us to build out our API in a way that's easy and clean and readable. Now, this sentence right here comes from Zell. I shared that you must read that post. You must read all their content. Amazing, amazing content, right? Amazing, amazing content. Blah. I kind of expressed how excited I am to learn all this. Zell has this line. It's a set of rules that allow other programs to talk to each other. The developer creates the API on the server that allows the client to talk to it. So we are going to write the code that enables, right, the client to talk to the server and get what it needs, right? Our client-side devices, our phones, our tablets, our desktops are going to make requests to our code that is running on the server, our API that is running on the server, that hears those requests, and because we told it what to do, it knows how to respond. It knows to respond with HTML, or it knows to respond with JSON, right? We are now in control. We get to decide what gets sent back when we hear those requests, right? So when we hear those requests, we get to code what happens. If we want it to respond with famous rappers, which is what we're going to do today, we can make it happen. You want it to respond with cute cat photos, you can make it happen. You want it to respond with anything that you want it to, you can make it happen. And so by the end of today, we're going to be able to build out a simple API in the sense of like the code that's running on our server, and in the sense of the APIs that we've been consuming for the first half of program. So let's get into it. Let's talk about, this is the actual post, by the way. If you click that link, that's where it takes you. There's some things that we're going to talk more about on Thursday, like what the heck REST is and all that fun stuff. But for now, let's talk about CRUD. What's CRUD? Y'all did the reading. Tell me, what's CRUD? What's CRUD? CRUD. A nightmare, stress, terrible. All right. So, I'm seeing some people getting a little stressed about this. All CRUD is how a lot of web applications, it's what they do. If you think about any normal website, a lot of times we're just doing the same 4 things over and over again. And so our server needs to be set up to hear those 4 things, right? It needs to be able to hear those 4 things and be able to respond appropriately. So you're going to hear that in web development, you build CRUD APIs. All that means is that we're building out like 4 key bits of functionality, 4 things that our server is going to listen for and know how to respond. That's all it is. Whenever you hear CRUD or CRUD API, it's just saying, all right, we know that our server is going to have some code running on it, right? And that server should be set up to hear or listen for 4 very specific things. That's all CRUD is. Those 4 specific things that we're going to program our server to hear and respond to. So one of the things that we can request up from a server is to make something. We can tell a server, hey, make something. We can tell a server, hey, give me something. Like, go get me something. We can tell a server to update something, or we can tell a server to delete something. It's these 4 magical things that between today and Thursday, we're going to learn how to build, like how we're going to learn how to program our servers so we can do these 4 things. Because if you can do these 4 things, you can build whatever you want. Really, that's it. This is it. Gonna get real for a second. If you learn how to build out your code so you can create something, read something, update something, and delete something, you can build whatever you want. Now, this is some pretty serious stuff we're sitting on top of, right? This falls back onto the idea that, remember that this wire is sending information back and forth, right? Sending information back and forth on top of a protocol called HTTP, right? And since we're using HTTP to send data back and forth, there are some methods that we get access to that enable us to send that data back and forth. And so there is some like serious code underneath CRUD, right? But really we're doing 4 things: creating, reading, updating, and deleting. Okay. Gourds, hey, thank you for the 4 months. Web Dev Jim, thank you for the 5 months. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. All right. Now, our servers and the HTTP really doesn't understand create, read, update, delete. It understands these 4 methods that are built into that protocol. The first method is called post. The second method is called get. The third method is called put. And the fourth method is called delete. Those are the methods. We know methods are just functions, right? That are built into the protocol that our servers can be set up to hear. But it doesn't sound as nice as CRUD, right? Creating, reading, updating, and deleting. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a second. We're going to think about pretty much any website that we've ever used, and we're going to break it down into CRUD. So let's think about Instagram. We said CRUD, the first step is create. What do I create on Instagram? Now, we're not talking OnlyFans. We're talking Instagram here. What am I creating when I'm using Instagram? Yeah, new posts, right? I make a new post, and that post has maybe like a photo, some text, right? A number of likes. So when I fill out a form on Instagram, I am making a new post. I have created something. So my server has to be set up to hear that, hey, Leon just posted another amazing photo, right? And so creating, we're used to. We when we're using Instagram, we can create posts all the time. So we can code our server to hear those creation requests and know what to do. When our server hears that creation request, we're probably going to need to do a lot of stuff. We probably want to store that post into like a database. We want to be able to store that stuff so that we can retrieve it later on. We might want to go update, we might want to refresh the page so we can see some other stuff. Like we can do a bunch of stuff. We can do a bunch of stuff once we make that create request, right? But we do it all the time. Whenever we're on Instagram, whenever you create a new post, you have created something. Cool. If I'm on Instagram, what would reading be? What would be reading? What do I read on Instagram? Yeah, like your feed. As you scroll, you're asking Instagram, hey, Instagram, go get me more posts. I want to see all of Leon's posts. Go get me more posts, right? So we know that we can create stuff, which is making a post. We can read stuff, which is like getting posts. What about updating? What do we update on Instagram? What do we update on Instagram? I think likes are the easiest one, right? My likes start off at 0 or 1, right? And each time somebody taps the photo, the likes get updated from 0 to 1. The next person that taps the photo goes from 1 to 2, 3 to 4, right? 5 to 6, right? So we're used to updating stuff all the time. Whenever we like something, we're updating something, right? Fountain, hey, thank you for the 6 months with the double bob emote. I appreciate that. Hey, thank you so much for being here. All right. So creating, we make posts. Reading, get me those posts. updating, let's change something. Maybe the number of likes go from 0 to 1. Booty Liquor, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. And what would we be deleting? What could we delete? What could we delete? What are we deleting here? Yeah. When my posts on Insta don't get 100 likes, they're deleted. I'm 100 minimum 100 likes on Insta, or else they're getting deleted. Can't have that messing up my image. 100 likes or bust. If it doesn't hit 100 likes, boom, delete it. Right? Microsoft doesn't pay for no under $100 100 post likes. You know, come on, get out of here. I don't use Instagram at all. But the idea here is the same, right? So we can create stuff by like making a post. We can read stuff by like getting the posts that are in our feed. We can update stuff by maybe like updating the number of likes or adding a comment to the post. And we can delete stuff when we actually like delete a post. And so if you really think about like every web application that you use regularly, you're probably only really doing these 4 things over and over and over again, right? You're probably creating, reading, updating, or deleting. And so today, we're going to start building out our API so we can do at least one of these, the getting. The getting is where we want to start. We want to be able to get stuff. So when somebody hits a specific URL, we want to be able to get them information or get them stuff, right? On Thursday, we'll add the post, the put, the delete, the ability to create, the ability to update, and the ability to delete. But tonight, we're all in on being able to get stuff, right? We got, now we're going to get, right? We got when we passed off our stuff to the web API during the event loop, but we're tired of getting got. Now we're going to go get. So let's go get instead of getting got. But before we do that, I want you just to really think. Any app that you use on the web, you're probably just doing these 4 things. So feel that power come into your body. Now you know that if you can master these 4 things, you can cruddily build whatever you want. Do you feel the power? Do you feel the power? Do you feel it coursing through your veins? Are you ready to unleash it, to build the things that you want to build, to no longer let your dreams be dreams? Can you feel it? I feel it. Let's build. I feel cruddy. I'm feeling real cruddy, folks. I'm feeling real cruddy. All right. Now, like I said, I'm expecting you to have come into this lecture having done the reading. The reading went into crud. It went into rest. It went into in detail. And so we're going to build on top of these ideas tonight. Cool. So we feel the power. We're ready to unleash crud. We're ready to unlock the power that's been in us this whole time. And we're going to build our first app with Express. Now, you go to Express's website, and as they love to do, what do we see on Express's website? What do we see on Express's website? We see this text right here. I'm going to let you read it while I take my sips here. Booty Liquor, thank you for the hydration. Flopsy17, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to both of you. There we go. Thank you for the hydration. All right. Fast, unopinionated, minimalist web framework for Node.js with a myriad of HTTP utility methods and middleware at your disposal. Creating a robust API is quick and easy. Oh, I definitely need to get that stretch in, Pasta. Hey, Pasta Tofu, thank you for the stretch. You all know it's not that kind of stream. Oh, yeah. Ugh, there we go. Alrighty. So, fast. That's easy. It's fast. Express is fast. We can build out our APIs, like the things that hear the code, that hear the request and generate the responses. It's fast. Unopinionated means that it doesn't make any presumptions about how you should really do stuff. You can bring in any of the modules or libraries that you want. You can really use it however you want. It doesn't really lock you into a specific way of doing things. There are other frameworks that will give you like a very specific way that you have to do stuff and very specific modules that you have to use to do things in the way they want you to do them, right? So Express is not that. You bring whatever you want. Express is like really focused on one thing, which is that second paragraph, right? So fast we get. Unopinionated means you can bring whatever you want to the table. There's nothing that's going to force you to use. Minimalist means it's just not using a lot of stuff. It does like one thing really, really well. And that's helping us build out our web API. It's going to be really fast, unopinionated, and minimalist way to build out that CRUD functionality that we just talked about. The creating, the reading, the updating, deleting. We can use Express to build that stuff really fast and easily. And the reason why it makes building that functionality easier because it comes with a myriad of HTTP utility methods. Meaning, remember, the web works, right? The web is a wire. We're sending information back and forth across that wire. And we're using the HTTP protocol to send those requests and responses back and forth. Okay. Now, what Express is really good is taking all that complex stuff that comes with the HTTP protocol, that comes with the HTTP module that is exposed to us via the node runtime, right? All this stuff that we get that handles like those really complex requests and response, like all the stuff that we need to like handle the request and generate the responses. Node just gives us like handy dandy, right? Handy dandy methods that we can use that just make our life a lot easier. So Myriad is a lot of methods that make our lives easier. We've seen other times when we've gotten methods that made our lives easier. And so Express is just another thing. It's just giving us, it's another module, which is a bunch of functions. So we just have a bunch of functions that we can use that have been pre-built for our pleasure, right? Next. And middleware at your disposal. Middleware. Middleware is everything that happens between a request and a response. That's middleware. Anything that you need in between a request and a response, we're going to call middleware. Now, nerds, get angry. Go ahead, shake. I want to see you violently shake. All right? But we're going to say for now, middleware is anything between a request and a response. We have a request that comes in, and we have a response that goes out. Anything that happens between those two things, middleware. All right. And then creating a robust API that is quick and easy. Remember, the code that's running on our server that can hear those requests and do the things we need it to do, like going and creating a post, going and reading posts, updating posts, or deleting posts, that's the API. Okay? And Express is really good at building these things out. So let's go back to that Instagram example real quick. Because tonight we're going to start building. But I want to spend just a quick more second pretending that we're going to build Instagram real quick. Izzy, thank you for the 200 bits. Shaking. Let's say we're going to build Instagram. There is code running on our server that we're going to call our API. So what's something I could do on Instagram? What's something I could do on Instagram? creep. I could create a post. All right. So here's me on Instagram, and I'm going to make a post. The code running on my server said, here's that I want to make a post, right? So I have app.post, right? And then what does my code have to do? I've just made a post. What has to happen? Well, probably what's going to happen when you make a post is we're probably going to store some data like in a database, right? Whenever you make a post, that post that you made is probably being stored in a database. That's it. You've probably stored something in a database. Now, when I am scrolling through my feed, what type of request am I making? When I'm scrolling through my feed, what am I making? What type of request am I making? A GET request. Remember, we're not getting got, we're going to go get, right? So I'm scrolling. I want to see some photos. So I make another request to the API saying app, hey, get. And when I make that GET request to the server, what should happen? What do I need to have happen? What needs to happen? We need to probably go to the database, right? And get the information about post. And then probably plug that info into some sort of template. And then what am I going to respond with? What am I going to respond with? So the user wanted to see a post. I heard that request. I went to the database. I got some information about the post. I plugged it into a template, and I probably generated some HTML. And then I'm going to respond with that HTML. Right? I'm going to respond, right? I'm going to respond with some information. So post, when I made a post, I wanted to store something into a database. When I made a GET, I wanted something back. I wanted some HTML. I wanted to see the post on the screen, right? So we can start to see how the API can get a little complex, right? The API has to be able to hear these different kinds of requests and do different things based on the request it hears. If it hears that I'm making a GET, well, the server is going to need to know, like, oh, we're going to have to talk to the database. We're going to have to get some information. We're going to have to plug that information into a template. We're going to generate some HTML. And now we have the HTML of the post that Leon wanted to see. Once we have all that HTML, we send it back as a response. Right? So this building of the API can get some complex things happening here. But you're really just doing the same four things over. You're listening for posts, you're listening for gets, you're listening for puts, and you're listening for deletes. And what happens when it hears those requests, that's what the API is. So we get to control what happens when our server hears those different things. And so tonight, we're going to be building out GET requests. We want our server to be able to hear a request for a page, and eventually we want our server to be able to hear a request for some JSON data. And so we're going to build out that API together tonight. Okay. Now, like I said, this can get pretty complex and get pretty tricky, but tonight we're just focused on getting. We'll add other stuff on Thursday. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. So tonight we're focused on building. We'll worry about all the nerd stuff on Thursday. So tonight we're building. We're having fun. We're working through it. We're hitting some roadblocks. We're thinking through out loud. We're asking questions. We're asking questions. And we're building. All right. We're building. All right. There are some key steps that we're going to be doing tonight that I just wanted to have in the slides just so that they're easy references. Also probably for myself if I need to copy and paste, but here are some of the key steps. When we're setting up a project, we're going to do this lovely npm init. Anybody know what that does? Anybody know what that npm init does? Anybody know what that does? Anybody did the reading? Yeah, it sets up it sets up our project and gives us a lovely package.json file that will be where we store all the information about the modules or packages that we need, right? And then if we ever do need a package, all right, we can use this lovely npm install express save. And the cool thing is that when we do this command, it'll get added to that package.json file for us. So it just enables us to do stuff a little bit quicker. Cool. Some other key steps. Here, if app is holding my express, then I can do some really cool stuff. I can listen for somebody loading the server and then responding with an HTML file. Right? So I'm going to be able to like hear somebody on my server and respond with an HTML file. And I'm going to be able to hear a specific request and maybe respond with some JSON. So I thought these were some of like the important pieces that we might need to have up on the board just in case we need them, if you want to peel from them. And then the last thing we want to do is once we've built our server, everything is running locally. I want it live. I want to be able to use it, consume it, and I want you all to be able to use and consume it. I don't want it to be something fake. I don't want it to be something that's running on my machine. I want the world to see my code, and I want the world to see your code that you built today and for homework tonight. Okay? So the last step is we're going to push to Heroku. And so here are just some simple steps to push to Heroku. You're going to need to install the Heroku tool belt. Don't worry about having that done right now. You'll log in. You'll create your application on Heroku. You'll create a proc file so it knows what server file to run. And then you'll push everything to Heroku. You do these 6 simple commands, right? And if you do these 6 simple commands, your code is now live on a server that the world can interact with. That's it. That's it. So we don't have to worry about some complicated getting servers set up and run and configured. Nah, not today. All right. Very simple. So at the end, we're just going to run these commands and everything will be hosted for us. Cool. Now, let's build our API. Let's build an API. So I've built one that we're going to build up to together. Okay. I've built one that we're going to build up to together. And you can actually see my API right now. Oh, that's the hold on. That's the log. Let's see. What was it? It was simple wrapper API herokuapp.com. Boom. There we go. Here is my very simple API. It is simple wrapper. It's simple -wrapper -API .herokuapp.com. That's it. And so the cool thing is that this is a very simple server that's serving up some very simple JSON. And so what I can do is I can actually open up Postman and make a request to this API that I have running on Heroku. So let's go ahead and put in the request. We're going to do /API, which is the route that I have set up. And I'm going to paste in 21 Savage. And I'm going to make a request. Boom. You can see when I make a request to this API, I get 21 Savage's name, birth name, birth date, birth location, the origin, all that fun stuff. I put in, let's say, Chance the Rapper, and I make a request. I'm getting back all of Chance's information, right? And so I have all the information coming back. If I put in John, Bob's evil cousin, unknown, doesn't know what we're talking about. So this is what we're going to build up to today, folks. We're going to build up to building an API that we can consume. I even made some client-side code that consumes my API. So if I go over here and I refresh, this is going to use my API that I've built to tell you wrappers' names. So if we type in 21 Savage and I click me, you can see we get 21 Savage's birth name, right? Sorry, not their real name, their birth name. And so that's 21 Savage's birth name. Let's go ahead and do Chance the wrapper. Let's get their birth name, Chancellor, right? There we go. And so I am consuming the API that I built to get wrapper first names. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start building this out. We're going to work through all the steps together. We're going to start from nothing. I'm going to start with a blank VS Code, and we're going to build our way up. And along the way, you're going to ask questions, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna hit some stumbling blocks, some things that'll be like, wait a minute, how do we solve this issue? We're gonna talk through everything that we're doing. So that's what we're trying to get to. So let's go ahead and do it together. All right, I'm gonna go to my VS Code. I need to go ahead and make this bigger so that y'all can see it. So I'm going to configure my terminal settings real quick. Sorry. I don't know why this is super small, but I'm going to change the font size here so it's not super small on us. Let's see what 26 looks like. Cool. 26 is still a little too small. Let's do 30. 30 feels better. Cool. Let's do 34. Cool. All right. Let's escape this. Let's close my settings here. All right. So now I'm in VS Code. I have a lovely kind of like terminal here, and I'm just going to cd tilde to go all the way back to my root folder. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I'm afraid this is a little too small. Configure terminal settings. Let's do 36. Well, let me do 36. It's not getting bigger. Let's do 46. Cool. All right, let's do that. And then let's close this. And let's do a plus here. There we go. All right, I feel that's good. I feel like we can see that stuff. And so I am at my root directory. I am going to cd into my desktop. I am going to cd into my stream folder. I'm going to cd into my 100 devs folder. And I'm going to cd into my class 32 folder. Cool. Now I'm in my class 32 folder. I want to go ahead and create a folder for my project that will be the API that we're going to build together. Okay. So what command do I have that can create a folder? I'm in my class 32 folder. How can I create a folder? Yeah, make dir. And I'm going to call this wrap API, baby. Look at that. Wrap API. And now where a lot of folks typically make a mistake is they forget to cd into that folder. So we're going to cd into wrap API. Great. Now we're in our lovely folder. Since I'm going to create a new node project, what is the thing I probably want to do right away? What is the thing I want to do right away? Wonderfilled with the 6 months for the resilient. Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the 6 months. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. Cool. Yeah. We can do npm init. npm init. All right, package name, wrap API. Like, so the interesting thing is some people get a little stressed. They see this and they're like, oh no, what just happened? It's gonna walk you through some commands to help you create your package.json file. All right. And so I'm just going to keep the package name wrap API. Version 1 sounds good. I'm not going to put a description. I'm not going to put any enter point. I'm just going to hit enter for all of these. And hitting enter for all of them. Is this okay? Yes. Boom. Then what we'll see is you'll notice it went ahead and created a package.json for us. What is happening? It's Noda. Hey, thank you for the 4 months. Tony Diamond, thank you for the 5 months. Scott, thank you for the 5 months. That's wild. Hey, I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Cool. Alrighty. So all I did was my wonderful, yeah, everyone's Prime refreshed. All I did was my wonderful npm init. That's all I've done so far, right? That's all I've done so far. I have a lovely folder that I'm inside of, and I did my npm init. If I'm going to create a server, I'm going to need a server file. Chat, what's the command to make us make a file? Yeah, touch. I'm going to call it server.js. Cool. So if you notice, now we have a server.js that's right here as well. Cool. So I have a server.js file that was just created by the touch. And I'm going to open up that server.js file. There's nothing inside my server.js file, but I know that there are some modules that I'm going to want. We said that we're going to make our server easy by using what module? What are we going to use that's going to help us make our API nice and easy? Express. Yeah, we're going to need Express. So if we're going to need Express, we're going to do a const Express equals, and in Node, how do we get the modules that we want? How do we get the modules that we want, chat? Require. Cool. A common mistake that I see a lot of folks do is they'll do this. Chat, why is that a mistake? Yeah, you need the quotes. If you don't have the quotes, it's going to be looking for a variable called express, right? So don't forget the quotes. You want to get that express package. Great. Now, one of the things that people do is a convention is now that we have express, right? Now that we have express, right? Now we have express, let's go ahead and use it. And so we'll do const app equals, and we're just going to say express with the parentheses. All this is going to do is give us like the actual, like all the functions that came from Express are now in app. That's it. All of the functions that we got back from Express are now in app. So we can use app anywhere we want and have access to all the wonderful methods that come with Express. Do I create apps or just do tutorials? I create apps all the time. What are you talking about? Apps every day. All right. Cool. So now we got Express. We got our app that's using Express. Let's save it. And let's do a very, very simple route. So something that our server is going to listen for and respond with. Okay. So the thing we're going to do here is we're going to do app.get. Remember, get is one of the 4 things that our server is going to be listening for. Our server is going to be listening for get. They can be listening for post. They can be listening for put or delete. Remember, we're building a CRUD API here. We're either creating stuff, reading stuff, updating stuff, or deleting stuff. And so we're going to go ahead and do a get. And what I'm going to do for my get is get takes in 2 values. Takes in 2 values. Right? Takes in 2 values. It's going to take in the request that we're actually listening for. When would the server make a request to /? When would our server hear the request to /? Yeah, when the normal home page loads, the base, right? Like the actual page that was loaded, right? When that page, like that home page, the root is loaded, that's what the / means. Now, once we hear a get for that main page, we're going to run a function. And this function is just a callback. Just like we saw last week, it's just a callback. And this callback, we're going to have like a nice little syntax here. This callback is going to have 2 parameters. And this is kind of like the hallmark of building something with Express. You're going to have a request parameter, which you'll often see people shorten to rec. And we're going to have a response parameter, which you'll often see people shorten to res or res. I like to type them all the way out when I'm first starting, just so you can see that it really does mean request and it really does mean response. Cool. So when my server makes a request to that default route, that main route, that home page, they've just typed in the URL, they've made the request. What do we want to send them? Chat, what do we want to send them when they come to this main page? They've come to our page. What do we want to send them? Yeah, we want to respond with some HTML. So the cool thing is this response object, this right here, this response object comes with some goodies that enables us to respond with different files. So we're just going to say response, and then we're going to say .send file. That's it. So now we can say, all right, we hear that main page request. We can respond by sending you a file. Now, we have to tell Node where to go and look for this file. So there is a shortcut, which is just basically the dir name. And you can see that VS Code was helping me there. Dir name, so basically saying, hey, wherever the server file is, that's where I want you looking for the HTML files. So wherever this server file is, look in that directory. Hey, look in the directory, right? Look in the directory for that HTML file. And then we're going to do plus, and we're going to do / index.html. So what's going to happen is when I hear a request on that main route, like I just typed in localhost, whatever, it's going to hear that request and send an HTML file. Okay. Now, have I created that HTML file? I haven't created the HTML file yet. So let's go ahead and do a touch on our HTML file. So let's go ahead and do touch. And we're going to call this index.html. And you'll see that we created an HTML file here. It's going to click on it. We're just going to go ahead and do the HTML5 shortcut. Boom. Just typed in HTML5, hit tab. And we're just going to put an H1 in here. Call this wrap API. Cool. So now we have a very simple index.html. That index.html is in our folder. Everybody's like, oh no, you forgot to install. Come on. Like I said, there's going to be some things that we forget along the path as a means to learn. I got you. Don't worry. All right. So now we're going to hear the request and we're going to respond with an HTML file. All right. We're going to respond with an HTML file. This HTML file doesn't make any other requests, so it looks like we're in the clear. We don't have to set anything up for that. And so cool. We're going to hear a request. We're going to respond with an HTML file. But the last thing that we have to do here, and then we're going to take our break, is that we haven't set up the server to listen, right? Like making the server actually run, right? So we're going to do another here, app.listen, right? Just another method that comes with Express. Get and listen are using the methods that come to us with Express. Remember, Express said it came with a myriad of HTTP utilities, and we're using them. Listen and get are the things that comes with Express that makes building out this API easier. And so this method takes in two things. It takes in a port and it takes in a callback. Cool. And so what we want to do is we just want to put like a nice like console log in here. It's going to say like console.log just to let us know that the server is actually running. And we're just going to say with like a nice template literal here, we're going to say server running on port. And we're going to put our port in here with a template literal. Cool. So that's what we're going to do. So now the interesting thing is we haven't set up a port yet, right? I like to create my port as a variable. I just find it way easier to read. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the top of my file here, and I'm going to do const port equals, and I'm just going to say 8,000. Right? So if this is working right, we should have a very, very simple Express server, right? That is listening on port 8,000, and it is set up to handle a GET request. So let's save everything and let's try running our server. It's not going to be a first try. Let's try running our server. So we're going to say node server.js. I'm going to hit enter. Uh-oh. Cannot find module express. What does that mean? Cannot find module express. Yeah, we required it, but we never installed it. So since we didn't install it, there's no way we can get it. We don't have it yet. So we're going to come down here. We're going to do npm install express, and we're going to do this save flag. So I'm going to hit enter. You're going to see it, download it, install it. And the cool thing is, if we look at our package.json, our package.json automatically updated, right? It automatically updated to include Express, right? So when you have that save flag, it helps you update your package.json. And you'll also notice we got this big old node modules folder. This is the actual folder where all the packages that you need are going to like live. Like when you download these packages, they're not just like magically living somewhere. They're in a big ass folder called node modules. And look at all the stuff that's in here. This is all the stuff that came with Express. Like all this stuff that we need to run a server that we don't have to think about. We don't have to think about anything in this folder because Express is abstracting all that stuff out of our way. So we don't have to think about any of that stuff. Express got us. Cool. So let's go ahead and try running our server again. And I always just like to hit up arrow. If you hit up arrow, it'll run you through the things that you have done in your terminal. So I'm going to run node.server.js again. You can see that we got a lovely console log to the terminal here saying server running on port 8000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and access this server. I'm going to go to my localhost here, localhost 8000, and boom, it heard that request and it responded with this HTML file. It responded with this wrap API HTML file. There's nothing in there except for that H1, and that's what we got. So the server is able to hear that GET request and respond with that HTML file. So this is as kind of simple of a server as it really gets, right? We are set up using Express to listen on a specific port. And then we're going to start building out our API that can listen for these requests. When I typed in localhost 8000, that was what type of request, chat? When I typed in localhost 8000 and I hit enter, what type of request was that? That was a GET request. So I heard that GET request. My API heard that GET request. And what did it respond with? What did my API respond with? It responded with HTML. Yeah, we got, but now we're going to go get. All right, folks. So we're at a good spot. We got our server like listening for stuff. Now we're gonna take a break and we're gonna come back and we're gonna have more fun. We're gonna start responding with JSON, because if we can respond with HTML, we can respond with whatever we want. So when we come back from break, we're gonna respond with JSON, and as soon as we can respond with JSON, you can build any API that you want. Hold on, what? You got to learn one more thing, and you could build any API you want. That's wild. That's so hype. Like that blows my mind. We're gonna add like 3 lines of code, and we got it. We can build whatever you want. You're sick of a Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Digimon API not existing all combined, right? You could build it when we come back from break. All right, I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the clock here. Lightning is my waifu. Thank you for the 1 month. I thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Hey. All right, let's put 5 minutes on the clock here. Take a well-deserved break, folks. Take a well-deserved break. You deserve it. You earned it. If you want to take a peek at the code, I've already given you the full solution. So you have all the code you're going to need. If you want to take a peek, you can. All right, 5 minutes on the clock here. Please, if you're able, go ahead and take a break to help you with that break and to help new folks that join the stream. I'm going to run some ads. Not because I want to run the ads, just because I want you to get up, grab some water to hydrate, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Gabby C, hey, yee. Thank you for the 5 months. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. All right, ads are running. If you saw Oliver Khan, say yeah. Thank you for the 5 months. I love saying that. Thank you so much for the 5 months. Thank you for all the support. Accordionette, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Woo. I'm having fun, folks. Indifferent. Thank you for the gifted sub to Will. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Just the bell. Thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. I appreciate the love, folks. I really do. Got about 3 minutes. If you're able to, get up, stretch, hydrate. Let your eyes focus on something that's in the distance. Spliff Gates with the 6 months. Thank you so much for the 6 months. Telefang got me with a stretch. Let me get that stretch in real quick. You know how this goes. BRB. Burb. If you want to see the stretching in all of its gloriousness, OnlyFans, baby. Only 1 million channel points. Oh yeah. Did y'all hear that? My legs cracked, my back cracked. That was wild. So the node module is the back of the kitchen, abstract it from us. Yeah, we don't need to know what's happening. We just want to be able to use all of its methods that do all the heavy lifting for us. We don't have to know how Node is creating the server and how it's listening for those HTTP requests. Express does that for us. Yeah, that's the beauty. Yeah. When I ran npm init, only the package.json file was created. Exactly, Hadoken. That's all we were doing there. We're just getting that package.json file. That's going to help us organize our project. It's going to let us know what packages we have installed, what we need, etc. I'm excited too, Will. I'm excited too. Hey. Only devs. Yeah, that'll be. We're gonna make it. We can make our own. we gotta hit up Jordan. They're making the OnlyFans clone to make only devs. We didn't yet. Indifferent. Thursday we're gonna go over some more of that stuff. I think we're gonna have just enough time to get through this full API. Minute left, folks. Any after class today? No, I think we're gonna go right to the end, and then I'm gonna ask you to build your own API. So that's the fun. You're gonna do some homework between now and Thursday, building your own API. I think my 100 hours project will be a habit builder tracker app. That'd be fun. That's a good one. I like tracking apps for 100 hours projects. It's a lot of CRUD functionality to be had there. Alrighty, folks. Let's come on back together. Hope you had a good 5 minutes. Hope the break was good for you. Let's come on back. Come on back. Alrighty, folks. So, let me chill the music here. We got to work it, right? We had a very simple server. I'm going to go back to Little Leon. Very simple server that is currently running, right? If I go to localhost 8000 and I refresh, when I type in that URL and I hit enter, I have made a GET request. My server is set up to hear that GET request and respond with an HTML file. Set up to hear that request and respond with this lovely HTML file. Cool. Now, I want to take it another step. I said, wait a minute, Leon. If we can return HTML, can we return some JSON here? And the answer is yes. So what I want to go ahead and do is I want to go ahead and build another route. So I'm going to say app.get again. But this time is if somebody hits up, let's say, API/Savage. If they ask for information from API/Savage, I want to be able to send them a wonderful response all about 21 Savage. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did before. I'm going to give myself a nice request parameter here and a lovely response parameter because we know that Express expects these things. We can do really cool stuff when we have these two objects at our disposal. Like we saw that response has the ability to send files. we're also going to see that response has the ability to send JSON. And that's it. It's just response.json. And so since we have this ability to send JSON, we can do something really, really simple. Let's go ahead and create an object. So let's go ahead and create a Savage object. I'm going to call let Savage equal. It's going to be an object. I'm going to do age. I can't remember. Are they 20? What are they? Let me do age. And I believe they are 28 or 27. Let's look up 21 Savage. Beautiful. Let's go to Wikipedia. 21 Savage is 28 years old. All right, they're 28. So I'm going to say age 28. We're going to say birth name. And we're going to grab their birth name from Wikipedia. Their birth name. Here we go. Going to copy that. And we're going to grab their birth location. And their birth location is London, England. Cool. All right. So now we got a nice, neat object. And whenever someone asks for this specific route, we're going to send them back Savage. Or yeah, that's what we called it. We're just going to send them back this lovely Savage object. Cool. What could we use, chat, what could we use to simulate a request to our server? What could we use to simulate a request to our server? Yeah, Postman. So let's go to Postman. Let's save this. Remember, I'm doing mistakes that we can learn. We're going to go to Postman. And in Postman, I'm going to do localhost 8000 /API/Savage. That's the route that I'm trying to hit up. Let me click send. And cloud agent error. Cannot send requests to localhost. Select a different agent. So if you want to have like a local server, since I am using the web version of Postman, you need this desktop agent. And so I'm going to switch over to the desktop agent. And if you want, you can download it from here. So if you're already using the web version of Postman, go ahead and download yourself that desktop agent. You don't have to download the full desktop app. I like the web app better for some reason, but you definitely need that agent or else it can't see what you're doing on your computer. So now that I know that I'm going to need it to be able to see my computer, I'm just going to run the Postman agent. Now that I have the Postman agent running on my computer, it can make requests to my localhost. So yeah, that's a complicated step, but it's just so that we can visualize the routes and the things that are running on our local machine. You don't have to worry about doing this right now. This is something that as you're watching this back, you're going to do. But I just wanted to show you that since I'm going to be asking for information that's not on some server on the internet already, and I'm going to be asking for stuff that's on my machine, Postman doesn't know what's on my machine, right? And so to get what's on my machine, it needs that agent. So I am all squared away now. I have the Postman agent running. I'm going to try making the request again. And we can start to see that we're able to make some requests here. But if we look, I got an error. Cannot get API Savage. Wait a minute, chat. Wait a minute. I just added the ability to make a get to API/Savage, right? I made a request to API Savage, but Postman can't make a request. It's getting an error. Why is it getting an error? I made that route, but it's getting an error. I never restarted my server. Exactly, chat. I made a change, but my server is not running with those changes. I have to restart my server. So I'm going to do Control C to stop my server. And I'm going to run it again. All right, now my server is running with all of those changes that I made. If I go back to Postman now and I click send, boom. Yes. Let's go. 5-second warning, 10-second warning, 5-second warning. Let's go. Let's go. What? We made an API, baby. We made an API. Look at that. Just look at it. Hey. We out here building APIs, folks. It's hype. Y'all think it's a joke, but I'm actually really fucking hyped that we made an API. Like, it works. It works. It's so simple. We said, hey, if somebody makes a request to this route right here, API/Savage, go ahead and hit them up with some JSON, Derulo, right? Hit them up with some JSON that is just the object that we made. So now you could create any object you want, right? You could create any object you want and respond with it. So you now have the ability to build any API that you want. Podiumman87, hey, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. It feels good. Now, you know what? We got our server running. What I want to do is I want to make a client side. I want to make a front end for this. Not something that's running on my server. I want to make like some client side code that can consume my server. Leon, can the API/Savage be anything? We can call this whatever we want. I just said it's going to be an API, so I want it to be called API/Savage. So I want to go ahead and make just like a client side that can consume this API. So I'm just going to kill the server for right now. And I'm going to go up a level. I'm just going to get out of my wrap API folder. And I'm going to make a new folder called like client side wrap stuff. Client side wrap stuff. And inside this client side wrap stuff, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go into it. And I'm just going to go ahead and make an HTML file. I'm going to make a JS directory. And I'm not going to bother to write any CSS. So I'm just going to go into the JS directory. And I'm going to make a main.js file. So all I did here is, if you look over here, I made this client-side wrap stuff folder that has an index.html and a main.js. And right now, they don't have anything in them. So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly build out. I just want to build out like a simple client-side code, some simple HTML and CSS that can make a request to my server. That's what I want to build. I want to make a request from the client side to my server. And so let me go ahead and build this client side real quick. I'm just going to use the HTML5 quick thing here. I'm going to put an H1 in here that says like get wrapper's birth name. And we're going to get wrapper's birth name. And for now, I'm just going to put like an H2 that has result in it. Cool. So all I want to be able to do is I want to be able to, from this HTML file, make a request that gets the wrapper's birth name. And so what's the only thing that I know that can make a request? Like, this is client-side code now. What's the only thing I know that can make a request to a server from the client side? Yeah, we saw fetch, right? Like if we were trying to consume an API, it's a fetch, right? So let's go ahead and build out our fetch here in the main.js. And the fetch is nothing wild, right? It's just going to be our normal code. And so let's just go ahead and maybe let's give them a button to click. Button, click me. Cool. All right. So let's write some client-side code now. We're going to say document.querySelector. We're going to say button, and we're going to add an event listener. We're going to say click, and when there's a click, we're going to run get wrap. Cool. Get wrap name. We're going to call it get wrap name. Okay. And so then all we need is our lovely async function called get wrap name. And we're going to do const response equals await fetch. And we're going to fetch from our localhost. So we're just going to do our lovely localhost 8000, and we're going to say API/savage, and then we're going to const our data, which is going to equal res.json, and then we're just going to console log it at first data. Cool. So I just made a fetch. That's all I did, is I made a fetch. If you need if you're really just interested in like seeing all the code completed, I have a lovely like completed version for you here. That was part of the starter code, but we're doing it all from scratch right now. All right. So I have my lovely fetch. I'm just trying to console log it. Right now my server's not running. So I'm going to CD back to my server. CD into the wrap API. CD into wrap API. Cool. Now that I'm back at wrap API, I can start my server. So let's go ahead and start my server. Cool. My server's running. And I'm just going to open up this client-side HTML. This has nothing to do with my server. It's completely running on my computer locally. Like it's not connected to the server in any way, shape, or form. It's just straight up HTML and JavaScript that I have running client side. Let's open in the browser. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. This is let me organize this here. Let's keep this over here. Let's keep that over there. All right, here we go. Here's my lovely HTML. That's all client-side code. Let me open this in the browser here. All right, let me open up the console. And I'm going to click the button. Let's see what happens. Ready to click the button? Chat, let's click the button. Nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Do we have any way of seeing what happened? Do we have any way of seeing what happened? If something went wrong, how could we see what happened? Yeah, we don't have a try catch. Let's do a try here. Let's put all this inside the try. And let's do a catch with an error. And let's console log the error. Cool. Let's try it again. Nothing. We're doing so good. We're doing so good. We're doing so good. Well, we're dealing with client-side code. Does that have anything to do? Does that have anything to do with the server? People are saying restart the server. But we're working with client-side code right now. Does that have anything to do with the server? No. Let's go take a look at our client-side code. This all looks good. This looks like JavaScript. Looks like good client-side code. Let's just see. Let's just see. Let's do an alert here. Let's just double check that it's working. All right, let's go back. Let's refresh. Wait a minute. I didn't get an alert. Why didn't I get an alert? Chat's going wild. Let's go back. We never linked our JavaScript. We got to put a script tag in here. Have you all, has it been that long since you did a script tag, folks? Let's go ahead. We know that we're in our JS folder. We know we're in main.js. Let's save it. And let's go back here. Let's refresh. All right, our alert's coming up. Beautiful. Let's click the button. All right. Fetch API cannot load localhost 8000 API Savage because of a CORS request. Memphis. Oh, sorry. I just saw your link now. CORS request. So let's take a look at this picture here. Right now, I have an HTML file and a JavaScript file that are trying to make requests to the server. Right? I have some client-side code that's trying to make requests to my server. My server right now is not set up to handle CORS, cross-origin requests, right? It's not set up because my client-side code and my server-side code are not technically in the same space. Yes, they are both on my computer, but if this was real, my client-side code would be in my browser and my server-side code would be off on Heroku somewhere, right? And the same thing is happening even though it's both locally running on my computer. My client-side code is not in the same place as my server-side code. We're getting CORS errors, and my server is just not set up to handle it. So before, we had to do all this nonsense. CORS proxy. We were frustrated that the server didn't set it up on their own. And so screw all that. I own this server. I can make it do whatever I want. And so I'm going to use a CORS plugin, or sorry, a CORS module. And so the cool thing is I can come back to my lovely server file here, and I can just go ahead and require a new package. So I'm going to do const CORS, and I'm going to say equals to require, and we're just going to require CORS. There is a module that we can get that just gets rid of all these CORS problems for us. Since it's our server, we can run whatever we want on there. And so I'm just going to use CORS. I need the package, right? So let me chill the server here for a second. I need the package. Let me do npm install CORS, and I'm going to do save. It's going to download everything it needs for that CORS package. If we look at our package.json, you can see not only do we have Express, but now we also have CORS, right? And what we can do is we can go ahead and restart our server now because we just installed that CORS module that does all this stuff for us. And, oops, sorry, we already installed it. Let me run the server. All right, now our server's running again. Let's go back to that client-side code we have running in the browser. Let me refresh. We see our alert. Let me click my button here. And, Fetch API, CORS error. What did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? Did we do anything wrong? Let's look at our URL here. We restarted the server. It was saved. Let's look at our link here. Are we missing anything? Are we missing anything? We required it. XCG got it. Wayford got it. We haven't used it. Just because we required it doesn't mean we've actually used it. Right? And we can see that. VS Code was yelling at us. Look at VS Code yelling at us. Look, it's like that dark purple. That's it saying, Leon, you didn't use it. So we got to go ahead and do, let's just go ahead and do app.cors, right? Sorry, app.use. And we're going to throw in cors. Now, Express, because remember, Express is sitting in app. Express knows to use cors. Before it didn't. Even though we had it required, we didn't tell it to use it. But now it knows to use it. Cool. So we have to restart our server. Oh, aren't you getting tired of having to restart that server? All right. No, blah. I'm so sorry. Oh, no. Hope they're all right. All right. We restart our server. Let's go back to our client-side code. Let's refresh. Let's click the button. Oh. No. It didn't work. What happened? It didn't work. We required it. We used it. But it didn't work. Oh, Dab, I see you. URL scheme must be HTTP or HTTPS. Huh. Did we use HTTP or HTTPS? Did we use it? Nah. Let's try it. Let's see if that changes anything. All right. We saved it. Let's go back. Let's refresh. Let's click. We didn't get a cors error. We didn't get a cors error. So that's good. Didn't get a cors error. Didn't get a cors error. That's good. I'll take that. But let's go ahead and see if there's anything that I can spot here. And I'm noticing something a little odd here. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to do that. Let's just do that, chat. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and restart our server. Let's go back. Let's refresh. Let's click. Oh, baby. Oh. 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 Whoa. All right, no longer getting cors errors. The await seems to be doing some interesting things. Seems to be doing some interesting things. Hmm. Let's go ahead and take a look at our code here. Localhost 8000 API Savage. Once it gets that data, we're gonna turn it into some JSON, and then we're gonna console log that data. But we didn't do something here. We forgot something here in our client-side JavaScript. We forgot something. What did I forget, chat? What did I forget? Yeah. I didn't have an await here. We need that await. That promise is just pending and pending and pending and pending. Let's save it. All right, let's go back to our client side. Remember, this is all client side code, so we don't have to restart our server. 10-second warning. 5 seconds. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, that's how we do it, baby. Back that stack up. Back that stack up. All right. So we got some client-side code. We got some client-side code, right? We got this lovely HTML file, and we got this lovely JavaScript file. These are both running client-side. Yet, we are able to make a request to the server that is running locally. What? That is so cool. That is so cool. So now all of the client-side code that you've written, you can start to go back to that client-side code and make it work with the servers you're building now, right? Oh, we got a stretch in. Hold on. Oh, a posture check. Oh, thank you for the posture check. After all this dancing. I'm gonna get my posture in. Cool. So now, of course, some of these things are a little like, I'm hamming it up a little bit here. But I wanted you to see like what a process could be to get like some client-side code, connect it to our server that's running, right? And so there are some steps here, and I hope from like having some errors or forgetting some things, you can see some of what a more natural process might look like for like a real developer. But also like, hopefully when you run into these errors yourself, you can see me fix them, right? So we're gonna keep that process going here. All right, so now we got some good client-side stuff going. We got our server going. Our server can hear requests to this route and respond with this object. Can the variables respond to data be wherever? Yeah, they can be. Yep. But since we're dealing with requests and responses, people are going to either use request response or our rec res most of the time. Lunar Sailor, hey, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. And Kazami, thank you for that posture check. Cool. All right, so I'm feeling real good about this, folks. This is like a very simple API here. Sergio, hey, thank you for the 4 months with the woo. Hey, let's go. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so we got a really simple API, but I wanna up the ante a little bit of a smidge here. I don't want this just to be as much as I love 21 Savage, and you know I love you. I do. Metro Boomin, classics of our age. I love you, but I want this to eventually be an API for all rappers. I want to be able to get any rapper's birth name, right? So let's go ahead and build this out a little bit more. So I want to go here, instead of this being just Savage, I'm going to make an object here, And that object is going to be wrappers. And I'm going to put 21 Savage in here. So 21 Savage will be this object. And this object is going to go inside. Cool. Then we're going to do another one. We're going to do, let's do Chance the Rapper. And if you're in the know, if you know, you know, right there. Cool. And we're going to fill this out. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to copy and paste this here. Cool. I'm going to paste this in here. All I'm going to do is just building out an object here, folks. All we're doing here is building out an object here. I believe Chance might also be 8. Let's see. Chance the Rapper. Let's go to good old Wikipedia. 27. Very close. Birthday's very close. 27. Their birth name. Chancellor. That's actually a fire name. Not going to lie. Chancellor the Rapper. I take that too. Let's go ahead and make this 27. Birth name. And birth location was Chicago, Illinois. I'm not going to pretend that I know how to spell Illinois, so I'm just going to copy it. And that way y'all don't think I'm dumb. I'm just going to come over here and paste it. Boom. All right, there we go. So I got a lovely wrapper object that has 21 Savage in it, Chance the Rapper, and I want to just have one more in here that I'm just going to have as unknown. I'm just going to have unknown in here. And that's because I want to be able to serve something up if they ask for a person I have no idea who they are. Right? So I'm just going to put unknown and then put unknown for everything. That way, when people are using my API, if they ask for someone that we don't know, it doesn't break. They just get unknown for all their values. Dev Henry, hey, thank you for the 5 months. Let's go. It should just be Dylon. It should, whenever we don't know, it's just Dylon. There we go. That's it. Instead of unknown, Dylon. Age, Dylon. Birth name, Dylon. Birth location, Dylon. I don't want to make age a string though. That might break some stuff. So let's just say we're gonna say Dylon is 28. Cool. All right. So I have a very, very simple object here. Just wanted to express my thanks to you, Leon. Hey, Dev, I appreciate that. All right. So we got wrappers. We have 21 Savage. We have Chance the Rapper. And we have Dylon. So here we're just going to, instead of returning Savage, we're going to return wrappers. Cool. And let's just make sure this is working. This is going to be API. Instead of it just being API Savage, because that's limited, let's do API wrappers. Indifferent. Hey, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right. There we go. So now we have this lovely object that has multiple wrappers in it. 21 Savage, Chance the Rapper, and Dylon, of course. And we're going to serve that up. Let's just make sure this is all working. Let's restart our server. Cool. Let's go to our client-side code. We changed the route, though, right? We changed the route. So we have to go into our client-side code. We're no longer requesting from Savage. We are requesting from wrappers. Cool. So we're requesting from wrappers. Let's make sure we're getting some stuff back. Let's go here. Let's refresh. We're going to get rid of that alert. Click me. Cool. You can see we're getting this massive kind of like object back that has everything in there. BB Tone, hey, thank you for the 100 bits. Cool. So now when we were just serving up one object, we're serving up a big object that has a bunch of stuff in it. That's pretty cool. Now, what I want to be able to do is, instead of responding with this whole object every single time, right? Instead of responding with this whole object every single time, I want to be able to respond with a specific wrapper. And so this is where we can start to think about something called parameters. So here I'm going to do /wrapper name. So I'm going to do colon and then wrapper name. The cool thing is, just like we saw query parameters in the APIs that we used to use, we're now setting up our API to listen for any value that is inside the URL. And the really nifty thing is we can come inside of here and do const wrapper name equals request dot params dot wrapper name. So this is something that's cool. Since we're using Express, right, and we have this lovely request object, whenever someone makes a request to this URL, we're actually able to peel off whatever is here and grab it. And so what we're able to do is we're able to say, hey, look at the request, look at the parameters, grab this parameter here. So whatever that wrapper name is now going to be stored in my variable wrapper name. Yeah. So we're able to set our own query parameters now, right? And that's really neat because it makes this way more extensible. And so what I want to do is I don't want to just respond with wrappers. I want to respond with wrappers and their specific name. So we're going to go into wrappers. And if I look, wrappers is an object. Has 21 Savage, it has Chance the Rapper, and it has Dylon. I can't use dot notation here. I can't do like wrappers dot wrapper name. That won't work. It won't work. The dot notation won't work here, right? You have to have the colon cat. Yeah, the colon's just letting us know that that's like the query parameter. I can't do wrapper name here. What's the other object syntax I can use? Yeah, I can use that square bracket notation. So I can do wrapper name. And I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm just going to say wrap name. Actually, this we're going to get I'm going to change this to wrap name just so we can see the difference here. So wrapper name and wrapper name are tied together, right? This wrapper name and wrapper name here are the same thing. I'm just storing this in whatever I want to call it. Now, the cool thing is, let me go ahead and console log what wrap name is so we can see it. All right, we're just going to console log wrap name so we can see it. The idea here is that somebody's going to make a request to this route, but include a wrapper name, right? Include a wrapper name. And we're going to be able to grab that wrapper name off of the URL and then grab that specific wrapper, right? Grab that specific wrapper from the wrappers in this object up here. And we're using the square brackets because we can see that our wrapper names often have spaces. And that's not going to work too hot with the dot notation. Okay. So let's go ahead and save all this up. Let's see what we got going. I am going to restart my server. Boom, server's running on port 8000. I'm going to use Postman to check. Let's use Postman to check first. So let's go to Postman. API/wrappers, right? That's the route. /wrappers. And then we're going to throw in a name here. Let's throw in Sir Savage himself, 21 Savage. Let's go ahead and send that request. And it works. Look, we're just getting 21 Savage's information back. That's cool. Let's go ahead and ask for Chance the Rapper. Uh-oh. I didn't get anything back. Why didn't I get anything back, chat? I put in Chance the Rapper, but I didn't get anything back. We can see that it console logged 21 Savage. It console logged Chance the Rapper, so I know that it grabbed Chance the Rapper, right? It grabbed Chance the Rapper. It grabbed 21 Savage. It did its work. Why didn't it work, folks? Spaces are okay. We're using that bracket notation. Ah, the lowercase here. So let's go ahead and make all of our names lowercase. Let's make all of our names lowercase just to be sure. And we'll do parameters dot to lowercase. So any query parameter we get off the URL, make it lowercase. That's all. Let's save it. We don't have to worry about the spaces because we're using that bracket notation. Remember, Rappers is holding 21 Savage, Chance the Rapper, and Dylon. So if we just do Rappers and then square brackets, we can grab whatever wrapper we want out of this object. Cool. So now it should no longer be case sensitive. Everything will be going to lowercase. Let's restart our server. Let's check it out on Postman. Now it's working. I can even make it a lowercase t the correct way. Still works. And I can even do Dylon here, and it works. But here's the problem. What if I put in a wrapper that's not on here? Nothing happens. All right? Nothing happens because we haven't handled that. So let's just do some conditional logic. Let's do some conditional logic over here. And we can just do like a really simple conditional. We're just going to say, hey, if wrappers wrap name exists, if it exists, great. Go ahead and just respond like normal with the wrapper and their info. And if it doesn't exist, we're just going to respond with Dylon. So this is really simple. Like if the name they requested is in this object, right? If it's in this object, right? If it's in this object, it'll just go ahead and respond with that information. But if it's not there, it'll just respond with Dylon. So let's go ahead and let's do a nice kind of chilling of the server here. Let's restart it. We're going to go a little over today, folks. A little over. So we saved it. Let's come back here. Let's refresh. Oh, I don't have to refresh Postman. Let's go ahead and do localhost 8000 /API/wrappers/ Bob. No, evil twin, John. So we requested John. It didn't exist, so we got Dylon. Right? We can also just check to make sure it still works. 21 Savage. Cool. It's working. I see it working in Postman. What I want to do is I want to get the client-side code I wrote working as well. So this client-side code, I want it to work here. So when we hear the click, let's go ahead and do a document.querySelector. And let's just grab like a value from an input. Let's grab a value from an input, .value. And let's store this in, cool. We're just going to grab a value from an input. Our index.html doesn't have an input, so let's just go ahead and make one. Cool. We have an input, we have a button. When we click the button, we're gonna grab the value out of the input, and let's pass that along as part of the request. Cool. We changed it from API to API.wrappers, and then we can just pass in here the wrap name. Cool. So what's going to happen is we're going to click on the button. We'll pull the name out of the input, and we'll pass that through as part of the request. And we should now be able to have some really nice client-side code that is making the request here, and it should work. So let's go ahead. Our server was working. We already saw it over here. Let's open up this client-side code. Let's refresh. We now have an input here, so let's go ahead and put 21 Savage. Let's click the button. And now we're getting 21 Savage's info. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do chance the wrapper. Please say the wrapper. All right. Let's go. All right. We're getting chance's info too. Let's go. Let's start putting it in the DOM though. I don't want to just console log it. Let's put that in the DOM. Put it on the DOM. Document.query selector. It was an H2. So we're just going to select the H2. And we're going to do inner text equals data dot. What were we getting back? Data dot birth name. Data dot birth name. Let's save it up. Data.birth name. Let's go back. Let's refresh. Let's put in chance the wrapper. And hey, look at us go. Putting the actual birth name into the DOM. Let's do 21 Savage. Putting the actual birth name into the DOM. Whew. That's wild. So not only were we able to create an API, an Express API, that we can customize to do whatever we want, we also built some client-side code, right, that could consume it. Okay? So let's take a quick whirlwind tour through all the stuff that we just built. So we have two folders. We have our lovely wrap API folder, and we have our client-side wrap stuff folder. In our wrap API folder, we have our server.js, which has our entire Express server that we just built that can listen for an API request and generate a response. We also have a package.json, which is letting us know all the dependencies that we've included. So all the modules that we needed. And we also built an HTML file here just in case somebody loads the server, right? If somebody loads the server, it will show them it'll show them that HTML file, right? That was cool. And the neat thing is that we were able to see via Postman that our server was actually serving up some information. It was serving up some JSON goodness that we could then maybe build some front-end code to use, right? And so we spent some time building out some very simple client-side code, an HTML file, and a JavaScript file. And we used the JavaScript that we've been using for months to just make an API request. Except I used some of that async await goodness, right? Use some of that async await goodness. And all I'm doing from this client-side code is making a request. And the beautiful thing is I now have a server that can hear that request, right? So when this made this fetch, my server.js did this route fire, chat? Did this route fire? When I made that fetch request? Did that fire? Did this get fire? Nah. Nope. Wrong route. Wrong route. When I made that fetch request, here's the route that actually picked it up. API/wrappers. And I was able to also pass in a query parameter. And the cool thing is I'm able to grab that query parameter, turn it to lowercase, and then I just use that query parameter to pull the specific wrapper out of my object. All right. My whole room is on fire. I was able to pull out the specific wrapper from this object. And once I had that specific wrapper, I responded with that object. So now I built a very simple wrap API, right? I built a very simple wrap API. I could go ahead and fill out more and more pieces of this object to handle more and more wrappers, right? And I built my own API. Now, there's one last thing I want to do. I know we're over. We're going to take like the full, make another 10 minutes. Give me like another 10 minutes. I try really hard not to go over, but we're going to need like 10 more minutes. The really cool thing about this is that we've built a wonderful API that works, right? That can listen for different wrappers and respond. And there's just one last thing to do. The last thing that we have to do is that it only is running on my computer right now. I want you all to be able to access the API I just built. So instead of it running locally on my machine, I want it to run on Heroku. Okay? I want it to run on Heroku. Now, to do that, I'm going to go ahead and create a Git repo. I'm just going to put all my code on Git first, just in case I messed anything up. And then I'm going to push everything to Heroku as well. So let me go ahead and chill my server here. Let me go ahead and do my git init to create my Git repository. I'm going to do a git add all, and you're going to see a fatal mistake very soon. You ready to see a very fatal mistake soon? I've added everything, and then I'm going to do git commit -m working API, and rip. Look at all this stuff. Look at all this stuff that I'm about to push to GitHub. It just goes on and on and on. What happened? What happened? It's all of the stuff that's inside of my node modules folder. When I asked for Express, it gave me all this stuff. When I asked for cores, it gave me more stuff. And I didn't hide any of it before I pushed it to GitHub. And so I do want to hide that stuff. I don't want it to be like waiting for me to push that up to GitHub. So I'm going to go ahead and just while I'm here, touch.gitignore to create a gitignore file. I'm going to open this gitignore file and I'm going to add the node modules folder to it. All right. So now when I ever push the GitHub or Heroku, it won't actually load those files. Cool. Now I'm going to do the lazy way of doing this. The lazy way. And I'm just going to start over. Git init. Git add dot. Git commit -m. Working wrap API. Beautiful. Notice no node modules. No node modules. Right? No node modules. So we're good. I'm going to go to GitHub real quick. Let's create a new repo. I'm going to call this wrap API. Cool. It's going to be public. Let's create it. And then I always love that it gives me the commands I need to use. I'm just going to copy them. Boom. Let's make sure we're using the main branch. Let's make sure we have the right place that we're going to push it to. Cool. And we're just going to do our last, which is git push origin main. Cool, right? The last command here. And cool, I pushed everything to GitHub. So now I have everything on GitHub. The last thing I want to do is I want to push it to Heroku. And so if we notice, I gave you the commands to push it to Heroku in the slides, and I'm going to use them. So Heroku login flag I. All right. That's my email. I'm going to put in my password off to the side here real quick, just in case I like accidentally mess up and reveal it. Boom. Putting in my passwords. I gotta start being worried about this stuff now. All right, coming back. I'm logged in. Cool. I'm logged in. I'm gonna go ahead and create a simple app on Heroku. I'm going to call this wrap. I'm going to say wrap API 100 devs. There you go. Wrap API 100 devs. I've created a new application on Heroku called wrap API 100 devs. We're good. There's one last thing that I need, and that is this lovely proc file. If I don't have this proc file, Heroku won't know, right? Heroku won't know what file to run as my server, right? It won't know what file to run as part of my server, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Cool. Create that proc file. You can see that the proc file is just we're saying node server.js. That's what I want you to run. And then I'm just going to make sure I commit everything, add everything, commit it, and then push it. So git add dot git commit m add it proc file. Cool. And then I could push it to GitHub, right? I'm going to push it to GitHub. So I can do that. Git push. All right, it's going to GitHub. And then I also want to push it to Heroku. So I'm going to do git push Heroku main. Cool. So I'm just pushing right to Heroku. It's building my app. It's doing it's starting the server. It's provisioning the server. It's doing everything I need to get my server code onto Heroku, right? It does everything for me. That's why we use Heroku. And eventually we'll be able to have this up so that when we push to GitHub, it also pushes to Heroku, but we'll save that for next week, right? So now we've created our server. We've pushed everything to the server. Ideally, it works, and it told us it's been deployed to this location. So I'm just going to copy this URL and see if it worked. Guess what? It's not. It's not going to work. But we're gonna take a look. Oh, All right, there we go. We're seeing that it's trying to load. It's trying to load, but it's just not working. I'm going to go over here real quick to pull something up for you. All right. Here is the logs that I have on Heroku. Here is the logs that I have running on Heroku. Can you figure out, hold on, let me make this bigger. Can you figure out why it didn't work? Can somebody in chat figure out why it didn't work? We're so close. Server running on port 8000. Does Heroku respect my port? Nah, Heroku is not respecting my port. So let's go back and let's look at our server.js. Right now, we're saying port 8000. Heroku doesn't like that. Heroku is going to expect something that looks like this. Process .env and then in all caps, I like to keep port. So it's going to be looking for that, or it's going to be looking for hours, right? So here's what it looks. It's saying, all right, my server is now either going to look for this. If it can't find it, then it'll use my port. So when I'm running it locally, it'll run on 8000. But when it's on Heroku, it'll run on whatever port they assign it through Heroku, right? Because Heroku's running the show with that server. So we go ahead, we save this, we do another git, add dot git commit. We're just going to say added port for Heroku. And I'm going to push it to GitHub real quick, just so I have it on GitHub. And then I'm going to also push it to Heroku. Git push Heroku main. All right, pushed it up to Heroku. You can see Heroku is made all the changes. They're restarting the server for me. Well, sorry, they're installing all the dependencies for me. They're restarting the server now for me. And they're doing all that stuff for me. I don't have to do any of this. This is all free too, by the way. Yeah, Uber King. It's completely free. Right? Right? Completely free. Right? Cool. Now it's up. It's running. Let's go back. Boom! Boom! It's up. It's running. You all can now go to you can all now go to that URL. All right. 10-second warning. 10-second warning. 10-second warning. Go make this bigger. Hey. Hey. Are you all consuming my API now? Are you consuming my API? It's live. And the cool thing is, since it's live, let's try it out in Postman. I'm going to grab it. Let me try it in Postman. We're not going to use the desktop agent. We're going to use the cloud agent. Let's put in our link here. Let's do /API/wrappers/21 Savage. Hey, look at us go. Look at us go. We're getting that information back, which means I can go back to my client side code here. And instead of having it localhost, I could also put in that URL if I want it. Let me save it. Let me go back. And so now my client-side code, you can look at the route. It's on my desktop. My client-side code on my desktop can consume an API that I put on the internet. What? So the API that we just created is now online. I can consume it. All of y'all can consume it. Right now, you can start using my wrapper API. Right? All of y'all right now can be using my wrapper API. Just about, hey, thank you for the 3 months. Right? And what wasn't local is now completely online. Did we have to worry about any stuff when we got it online? Did we have to figure out how to set up the server? No. Did we have to figure out how to set up HTTPS? No. Did we have to figure out how to like provision resources? No. And it's completely free. It's completely free. Free tier, folks. Free tier. What? So that's the shebang, folks. We're able to set up a very simple server with Express. We're now able to we're able to put it online. We're able to make requests to it. You could literally build any API you want. You're talking about a good piece for your portfolio. Go make yourself an API. You have the power to do it now. Now, I know some parts of this went fast. If you didn't do the reading, some of this might have been really hard. But it's not that much code, folks. We require some modules. We wrote an object. And we just tell Express to listen for certain things. And when it hears those certain things, we tell it what to do. That's all it is. That's all web development is. You say, listen for this request, and here's what I want you to do when you hear this request. All right? Here's what I want you to do when you hear this request. Okay? And so if we go ahead and we look at the rest of the slides real quick here, just to get us through. You gave me the extra half an hour. I appreciate it. I got to stretch. Hold on, let me get my stretch in. Not that kind of stream. Ooh. Thank you for the stretch. I'm the bomb. All right. Cool. So we were able to do all of that. And now your homework is to do a few things for me. I need you to create your Heroku accounts, a Mongo Atlas account if you haven't, and Postman if you haven't. If you haven't installed that desktop agent for Postman, you're going to need it. So I want you tonight to make all 3 of these things. I want you to read through the full stack open chapter on Node and Express, just to kind of get into the nitty gritty of the things that we didn't have time to cover. And then I want you to make your own API. I want you to make your own API and get that shit on Heroku. And if you get stuck, come to Discord. Node help will be there to help you. So I want you to try and get this done by Thursday. Because on Thursday, we're going to make it so that we can add new wrappers to the API. And I want any of y'all to be able to add wrappers to my API. And so that's what we're going to build on Thursday. So today, we just handled the read or the get part of CRUD. On Thursday, we're going to handle the create and the delete and maybe some of the update. Whew. What a day, folks. What a day. What a day. So, I'm not going to raid tonight. I know I love to do raids. It's one of the biggest things we do to help grow science and tech. But I don't want to raid tonight because I literally don't want you all to do something else. I want you to run this back and I want you to build your own API. I want you to start thinking about what type of API you're going to build. All right? Come back on Thursday. We're going to keep it going. Come back on Tuesday, Microsoft sponsored stream. Let's go. Hope you had some fun tonight. Hope you learned a few things. Hope you're ready to keep the brain growing. And we're going to keep building on top of this, folks. It's only going to get better from here. Only going to get better from here. Alrighty, folks. Have a wonderful evening. Please ask lots of questions on Discord. I'll be keeping an eye on them tomorrow. Please, please, please get this stuff going. Create the accounts. Read the things I asked you to read. And build your own API. Have a good night, everybody. Good luck. Happy hacking. See you on Thursday.